Well, there goes the Daverhood. Welcome. Hi, I am Papito, a small potato, and I welcome you to the 793rd episode of Dave's Bong Guy. Oh no! I messed it up! Oh no! Oh no! I'm so sorry! Oh god! Oh god! I'm so sorry! It's all right, Papito. Papito is Pepito, she practiced, or it practiced for hours all week long. Almost got it. We'll try it next week because this is the deal. We got this Pepito, this little baby, beautiful potato, about 3 weeks ago, and we're just amazed by its aesthetic beauty. And we're all captivated by beauty. There's something like a beautiful woman. It's like no matter what they say, you just sit there and listen. Like, we're drawn to them magnetically if we see them on TV or in the movies. And so we have a number of these potatoes, and they're all cute. They're all adorable. But let me show you the difference. And I know this is not nice, perhaps, to some of the others of them, but this is what a baby potato usually looks like. This is what a papito generally is like. Ah, ah. So see, they're lovely. They're adorable, but everything. This one needs some eye surgery, some corrective keratotomy. This one's kind of all crunched in the middle. He's got some back stuff going on. His Ernest Borgnine back hair. Okay, adorable. Love him. Yes. And then we have another one who's a little more aesthetically. This one is really jolly. Okay, this is sort of a sweet-natured Jimmy Stewart of a potato, or of a baby potato, of a papito. But notice already he's got sort of like that scraggly Italian woman mustache going on back here. He's got the little folds. There's something. He leaves a little bit of. My grandmother actually used to do. What do they call that with the eyebrow plucking? What is that? Electrolysis. So a lovely, perfectly nice papito. But then you get this. Then you get like the ultimate, almost as if he had Botox and some plastic surgery work. But no, some are just born, as Lady Gaga would say. I'm born this way. Worship me, adore me. He's sort of the potassium equivalent of our popular culture. And so we're thinking of making Papito here the spokesmodel for Dave's Gone, because God knows with my looks, I'm not going to be a spokesmodel. But see, he's even got a little dimple down here. Why, thank you. So, problem is, in terms of looks, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. In terms of talent, we're working on it. However, the whole I'm just saying, the whole Dave's Bond guy thing, we got to work on that, Papito. But let's try it a little bit again. Okay. Welcome, everyone.
Wait.
Oh, here we go. You are in the Haverhood! Oh, goddamn. All right, we'll work on it. He meant to say he's in the Daverhood. That's people who've been on the show or people who watch the show and enjoy this program, which is Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my wonderful, darling, adorable wife who's taking care of the audio there. She is indeed. And all of you watching at home, this is our 793rd edition, live on this Saturday morning, April 10th, 2021. Yeah, we're coming up on almost 800 episodes of whatever the hell this is. It's a mix of humor and talk and music and interviews. So yeah, I'll tell you all about the stuff we're doing on this show. We have a special guest. We have our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz. We've got, it's a typical, standard, atypical Dave's Gone By, just how we like it. Speaking of things I like, how are you, my dear? How's your week? How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Except for Jim and Hart, I'm
good. Yeah, when Joyce has been working out at home since the pandemic, she hasn't gone back to the gym.
Not in IRL.
So what?
Not in real life. In the virtual life.
And then, oh yeah, well, you're not working out. You're not using your eyes to watch someone work out. You're working out.
Yeah.
Your trainer is virtual. You go there on the Zoom, and she works you out hard for like 25, 30 minutes. And apparently, she's been kicking your butt
Yeah.
because you are sore like everywhere.
Yes.
When you so I mean, what are they doing? Back? Are they doing legs? What is she doing to you?
I think I overdid core.
Because
Core's bad, yeah.
when you were doing this in person, the trainer would actually take a baseball bat
You beat me.
and whack her in her lower back, and then she wondered why she was sore the next 3 days. It was just, and then they have this bed that you go on. So if you're too small, they stretch you,
The rack, no.
and if they feel you're too stretched out, the bed compresses you, and they put you on that. And they do some of that. Yeah, it's a tough. What do you call it? It's a tough protocol you have with your gym and with your James, quite honestly. But other than that, so we are nearing. Joyce and I are nearing the end of the second week. Still 2-3 days away from it of vaccination 2. So Joyce and I, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, we got our second shot. We talked about it last week. It was the Pfizer both times and had no problem. Right? Joyce had one day where she was a little headachy and a little tired and stuff.
A little stuffy, not headachy.
And, that's right. It wasn't even, it was sort of, you have a foggy front of brain thing.
Tired, yeah.
I didn't notice it because I had that all the time. I have no brain left. There's just fog, which anybody who watches this show will know. But really, by the next day, we were absolutely 100% normal. We're hearing, or her normal, me never normal. We're hearing people having more reactions in terms of Moderna if they're getting the second shot. But really, it's been, and I'm feeling, I'm chomping at the bit on a certain level. It's weird. I've got nothing specific in mind. It's not like, oh my gosh, the day after my second week post-vaccination is over, I'm jumping on a train, I'm running down to Katz's Delicatessen for a pastrami. Or I've got to go, there's a show at the Darryl Roth 2 that other theater critic friends of mine are seeing, and they're sitting there and they're not really doing anything. It's all audio show, and they're in blindfolds, and it's there. I'm like, there's no specific thing that is calling to me in that way. I'm not even excited, even though it's been 14 months at this point. 13, since I've been in Manhattan. I've not been on the Long Island Railroad in that amount of time, have not seen a show.
Your rage has decreased in that amount of time.
That's right, I'm slightly less rage-filled in that period of time. But it's kind of like, there's a part of me that wants to...
Someone's giving you thumbs up, honey.
Oh, thank you. Who is?
I don't know.
Oh, well, thank you to the folks for giving me a thumbs up. But I'm part of, there's something unspecific. That's the thing. It's amorphous of wanting to run out and go to a restaurant and sit and eat and then go to a ball game and do that. But if you were to point to one thing, it's like tomorrow, like Wednesday, if I took the day off from work, go do something. I'd be like, do I really want to get back on the Long Island Railroad? I won't miss it. I certainly, and from the way I hear, they're not really distancing. It's not so different than it was. Do I want to mass at Penn Station? Do I want to make sure that the trains are on time and catch the right one home? And then really, what do I want to see? It's not like I'm going to a Broadway show. I'm going to this audio thing, the one that I've heard about called Blindness, where you sit there, it's just Juliet Stevenson on headphones making you scared because it's this dystopian future terrible thing, and there's probably gunshots and loud bangs, and you can't, and I'm neurotic about so many things. I'm specifically neurotic about loud, unexpected noises. At least in the theater, you can kind of prepare, or if you know a gun's going to go off, I can go like this and get through it and breathe through it. If I'm sitting there with headphones on, not only can I not put my fingers in my ears, but I don't know what's going to, if suddenly there's a loud bang in my headphones, I'm literally I'm going to jump 8 feet in the air and then come down on a pile of my own feces. That's what would happen if I go to see a show like that. So I'm not going to do that.
Is that going to be your next show?
That would be a show I would do. If people would pay to put me in the Darryl Roth 2 theater, and basically it would be just one event. It'd be like Tokyo Shock Boys, where it's an 80-minute show. At some point, and I don't know when, during the 80 minutes, it'll be quiet. I'll just sit there, look at the audience, they look at me, maybe read a book, and then, without my knowing it, an enormous bang goes off. And then I just come up, and maybe I'm on wires so I don't get hurt, and then I come down again, my pants are rigged so they come off, and then it turns out, when that happened, I shit myself and I come right down in it. People would pay.
They can't even get Spider-Man right. How they gonna
get Julie Taymor to direct it?
That's too advanced, David. They can't organize that. How's that gonna happen?
Well, if they do it right, and if I eat enough before the show, we can have like the first 2 rows that have raincoats on just in case. I think it'd be quite a.
I don't think that's feasible.
Quite a spectacle. Joyce is like, no. She wants me to get back and do theater and get back cabaret now that they're opening these things. But I don't think you approve of that particular show. Maybe you do. Maybe.
Nothing with bodily fluids.
Nothing with bodily fluids. Oh well. Well, there goes my first 4 ideas for a new show or a new way of getting back on the stages. But what roll 2 months into the future.
Yeah.
Because you're still for various reasons, you're still very nervous. It's not like the day of the second week being over.
I have a thing in life called a brain.
Well, you're worried about the variants. You're worried.
I'm not worried. I'm just cautious.
Right.
Listen, I took my Cornell course and I got 100 on 2 quizzes, so I know.
She did. Joyce is taking these public health classes on Cornell.
They're free.
They're free, and you get a certificate at the end of them.
Because I'm motivated by crap.
But when you feel, quote unquote, as fully confident as you possibly will, with being vaccinated, with more percentages of the American public being vaccinated,
let's get to 75 or 80,
and herd immunized, what do you want to do? What would be your
haircut and donate all my massive amount of hair for a wig for somebody?
Yeah. I've already signed up. I'm going to donate the hair from my next haircut to basically to the doll collection somewhere where a tiny little midget doll needs a beard. And I'm just going to take all the hair that I have, and it might make about half of that beard. They'll need 2 other guys.
Nice,
But no, Joyce is serious. She's going to... She has not had a haircut in like a year and a half. And so this hair has just been weighing on her, and it's been worse and worse now that the weather's getting warmer. Because in the winter, you don't mind so much. But the weeks and months have gone on, and the hair just goes longer and longer. She's trying to do, like, watching videos how to do the bangs. So when she gets a real haircut, there's going to be enough to, like, put hair on a cancer kid's head or the head of an Orthodox woman. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like...
It's a good color. That's what my hair cutter who said to me in Spanish. She said, you have an unusual hair color.
And mine is not so great, but I'm thinking if I could get a Brazil wax, I could do a couple of dolls. I could actually do full-size dolls if they Brazil wax me. All the hair, there ain't no hair here. It's all elsewhere. It's just sprouting in places. At a certain point, my nose hair could do a pretty good bird's nest, I think.
I'm gonna see if I can share this somehow.
Just gonna try and share whatever the hell I'm doing here on Dave's Gone By. Let me tell you what's going to be on this episode of the program, our 793rd. So here's the deal. We have someone who is a film and TV composer and a songwriter. As a matter of fact, he co-wrote a hit song with someone that you would never have thought of being a songwriter, a friend of his named Patrick Swayze, the late actor who was, of course, came to stardom on Dirty Dancing. Well, our friend of the Daverhood, Stacy Widelitz, co-wrote a song called She's Like the Wind. That's about my farts. What? No, it's... She's Like the Wind, which was featured in the movie Dirty Dancing, and they co-wrote it together. Anyway, Stacy Widelitz, he has had, since then, a pretty impressive career in terms of writing movie scores, like the background music for movies. Some of the ones you might have heard of include Return to Horror High, which is one of those parody comic scare movies, 500 Days of Summer, which is this indie film that a lot of critics loved, Pocahontas 2, TV movie, this is true, years ago, called Quarantine, go figure, and perhaps my favorite film title of all time, She Woke Up Pregnant.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was not an after school special. It was a one of those TV movie things of a girl. I think it has to do with a woman who goes to the dentist and she's molested, and then this was TV in the 1990s. She woke up pregnant, and of course, abduction of innocence. Ooh, and he wrote the score for the movie Chips '99 when they brought back Punch and John and so forth. He's also done the music for a TV series called Crow and Beverly Hills 90210, South of Sunset. Recently, he's also become a photographer, so it's going to be. It should be a lot of fun to have Stacy Widelitz, who, by the way, grew up on Long Island. He will be on the program in just a while. It was either Plainview
David, I'm inviting people in Messenger. So
oh, please do. Yeah, Joyce is trying to get more people to watch the program because they've already missed so much, right?
Well, they missed Potato's opening. You know how fussy he is.
Well,
Is he going to do it every show now?
He may do it several times. Hello, you're watching the Dave's Gone By Facebook video program of the air. It is April 2900th of the... Wait, is that... No, it's not right. I'll work on it. All right.
David.
It's gonna be an all-day thing with him. I can see.
Is he sad?
He's not. Oh, he's beautiful. Look at it. He never stops smiling.
No, I mean sag, like equity.
Oh, well, he's this one, as you can see, he's sag. He's sagging all over here.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So, by the way, I'm not going to be the one talking to Stacy Widelitz later in the program. That honor will go to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York, speaking of Long Island. So Rabbi Sol, he does most of our interviews. He's post-Shabbos, pre-Shavuos, so he's really got his mind into this week's interview. Oh, and Rabbi Sol is doing double duty on today's Dave's Gone By. Not the kind of duty I was talking about before. Well, what?
That's disgusting.
He is not only going to be interviewing Stacy Widelitz on the program, but he has done a Rabbinical Reflection, a brand new Rabbi Sol Rabbinical Reflection. This one is going to be about normalcy. The idea of, at some point, we're all hoping things will return to some level of normal in America. And he's, just like I am, starting to wonder, okay, when? Everybody's getting shots. Shots are available. They're going to younger and younger folks. More and more people have had the disease and now have the antibodies. When is normalcy coming? Rabbi Sol has a mini sermon, a rabbinical reflection, all about that. That'll be on this episode of the show. Also, we'll have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and we're going to Superior, Colorado, because we have a Superior show for you. This is a short poem about a town, city, or municipality in the lovely state of Colorado. This one, again, going to Superior, Colorado. We will have Inside Broadway this week. I'm going to be talking about the Broadway theater because there is some Broadway news, and it's not just obituaries. As we go week by week and week more approaching summer and then Labor Day, there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of stuff you're going to want to know if you care about going back to see a show. So Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By today as well. And what else? Oh, and how can I forget? Pardon me while I gargle. No, that didn't work. Our today-yesterday theater, our today-yesterday history quiz is a quiz all about all stuff that happened in history on this date, April 10th. So it could be a question of something that happened in 1841 or 1941. We have panelists, our regular panelists, Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward. They're both writers and critics. And they'll be playing, hopefully, with Stacy Widelitz. And we're assuming that he will come on after the interview to play our Today, Yesterday quiz, which, of course, you at home, kind of like with Jeopardy, too. You get to see, hey, do I
No, it's not like Jeopardy because you don't have Mehmet Oz, you have you.
Yeah. Oh, the guy on Jeopardy this week, when we were downstairs.
I think he was a fan.
He was terrible.
Isn't he? That's what they said. I think he's... I don't know who he is, but they said he's a big fan. Like
I don't care. I mean, the Mehmet Oz was fine. A little impersonal. Yeah. Oz was fine. Yeah. But this guy, he's a good-looking guy. He sort of looked a little...
They say should do it, LeVar Burton. I think Jeanette wanted him because he has everything. He's smart. He's personable. He's got the Trekkie fans, you know.
LeVar Burton would be a good...
That's what they said, yeah.
Or James Earl Jones, man.
No, but I think they want to, appeal probably to, this,
No, okay, the Trek... Well, Patrick Stewart. He would be fun. But the guy they had... I'm nothing against him. I mean, anybody could kind of do it. Except, maybe not quite anybody. Please answer in the form of an interrogative.
Oh, God.
When is... Oh, damn it. Yeah, no, not everybody. But the guy, he just had this sort of laconic, slow sort of voice, and he talked like this, and it just made, the show, where basically the first part of the show is the best part. The last 10 minutes is commercials and one question for Final Jeopardy. The good stuff is... they lay it all in the first 20. And the first 20 spelt like 50. He was like, the category is... I'm like, come on, man.
Maybe he took some kind of drugs because he was nervous.
I'm sure he was nervous. And he wasn't bad. But I don't know why they couldn't have immediately settled on Jeopardy Ken. I saw a couple of episodes with Ken Jennings, the longtime 70-plus winner, just the man. And he was perfect.
You like him because you wrote a song about him.
Not just because I wrote a song, because he's way cool. And he has a sense of humor, and he's lively, and he read the questions fine, and he loves the show. Ken would have been perfect. And now they're bringing...
It's a big commitment.
I'm sure. What else does Jeopardy Ken have to do in his life? He set aside 3 months of his life to play Jeopardy and win. He can probably set aside a couple of years of his life to host Jeopardy and make several $1 million. I think he'd be okay with that. Okay. I would be okay with that.
Why don't you do it?
Yeah.
Everybody likes your quiz show.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Today, yesterday, the quiz started about 2 or 3 years ago. And it was just basically me reading some questions, the folks at home watching and trying to guess what the answers were. And it was fine, and it worked. But as soon as I brought in panelists, it came to a whole new light.
I think also the video, the video piece, because you could see people, they could show,
they
all show stuffed animals, everybody does their set.
It became more an almost separate, cool segment of the show that people look forward to.
Not Family Feud. What's the one where they all have squares?
Hollywood Squares, yes.
It has a Hollywood Squares vibe.
Which I'm down with that. I'm fine. Because it's a mix of, real knowing your trivia versus, I don't know, I'm just going to guess, versus, hey, let's talk to each other and have fun.
Most of the time people know stuff, but they also have, esoteric knowledge around the event.
Yeah. So it's our Today, Yesterday quiz. We will be doing that later in the program as well. Did I get everything? Oh, and Greeley Crimes Old Times, of course. How could I forget? Things that happened in Greeley, Colorado that folks are calling the police to talk about. It's all part of Dave's Gone By. Let me get our intro up and get some other things ready, and we will be...
The intro yet?
I don't know. Sometimes I forget to play the thing completely, but not today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Yes, indeed. Keep on listening to this man, Dave. I just got confirmation from our guest, So very, very happy about that. We know that we will have Stacy Widelitz on the program in just a while, plus all the stuff I was talking about. Before we get to, I want to complain about something. Because I am Jewish and this is my show. And, and Rabbi Sol will complain about other things later. But this is how little things annoy me. And how I get to go on here, like Peter Griffin on Family Guy. You know what really grinds my gears? Let me tell you. And we were getting food. It was a week ago today. And I was going to pick up some food for lunch. Because even though Joyce and I haven't been in a restaurant in a million years, we've been doing takeout. We support restaurants. I'm so lazy, I don't want to make food. So we get it from a couple of different local places. So I go to my local place to pick up the food last time, and it's taking a little extra time because they're finishing the French fries and they're doing what they're doing. And in this place, which is a local kind of sort of family-owned, not a dive, but a hamburger-ish joint.
Mostly for like the kids after school. I think that's the main.
Yeah.
Or catering at parties, I think.
Yeah, they do a lot of Italian-y stuff and American bistro stuff. We're not talking about high-class fancy. It's a perfectly fine place. And they have TV screens for people when you're sitting there just having your lunch or whatever. And normally it's on one of the news channels or something like that. Now they have it, because the season has begun, on Yes TV for the Yankee game. So I'm like, oh, alrighty.
That's exciting. So
while I'm standing there for like 5 minutes waiting for my order to be to pick up and to be finished, I'm like, oh, cool! It's baseball season. I totally blanked on that. And the Mets opening weekend, that was postponed because of coronavirus on the other team. Let me watch a little baseball. I love baseball. I love the feel of baseball. So I'm gonna stand here. This will totally distract me. I'm gonna stand in this cafe and watch like a half an inning, maybe, of a Yankee game. And and it's so good to see, I've got to say. It's not like, they had baseball all last year. That wasn't gone for the pandemic, but I don't watch baseball at home. We watch all our TV on a computer now. Right? It's all Netflix and YouTube and stuff. I don't watch regular TV. I haven't seen a ball game. So now it's kind of like this special treat. I'm like, oh, and the field is green, right? And they're in their uniforms, and the crowd is, of course, sparse because they have to be. But it's I'm like, yeah, baseball. And I'm looking at the pitcher, I'm looking at the catcher, and I'm looking at the stats on the screen.
Are they automatons?
Well, no, the people for now are still human.
The fans? What about the fans?
I didn't really notice the fans such as they were in the stands. I don't remember if they did the thing where they put in fake cardboardy people everywhere to make it look full. And I'm sure they do some sort of level of audio sprucing, which I'm not crazy about, where they make fake crowd sounds because there's 1,000 people in a place that holds 80,000.
I think the players need that.
But here's the thing. So I'm looking, and pitcher throws the ball. Guy's up batting, right? It's Toronto. They're playing Toronto. And I notice, what the hell is that? And I notice that there's like a square or a rectangle, a see-through rectangle over like where the guy is batting.
Oh.
And he swings, and the rectangle sort of disappears. What the hell is that?
What is it?
And then the guy throws another pitch. Guy swings or whiffs or he waits for it. And there's this rectangle. And I realize that I guess what Yes Television is doing, and I hope nobody else is doing this, is, boys and their toys. They're like, they can't, well, I'll tell you first what they're doing and then complain about it. When the pitcher throws a pitch, they put up immediately, not an instant replay, not in anything, like literally live as you're watching on the screen, they put this more like a rectangle to show where the strike zone is.
Oh my God.
So that when the pitcher throws the pitch and you're watching the ball and you're trying to see where it is in relation to where he's swinging versus where the umpire's going to call them. There's no plastic involved. This is not a real. This is a digital image that Yes Network is putting in front of the batter's rib cage and stomach and balls to kind of show here's where the strike zone ought to be. Let's see where the ball's slightly off, and so you can compare it with the umpire's call. Is the ball right in the strike zone and he whiffed?
Think about years ago when they had to rely on the replay. Now we have what do you need an umpire for? You could have somebody watching in the booth, right?
But this isn't even that. This is just for the home viewer. It's a thing for the viewer to look. No, the umpire doesn't see it. This is literally just for broadcast.
Oh my God.
So that if the umpire makes a call that is questionable, the folks at home can look at it, and maybe the managers can then go look at it and say, see, here's the square of the strike zone.
You know what the manager says?
What? It is I'm sure if I watched many games, I would get used to it and maybe even appreciate it. But no! Don't do this! What the hell? Why are you messing with baseball? What is it? We don't need. If you've watched baseball, if you've grown up with it, I was watching it when I was 8 or 9 or 10 years old. You kind of have a sense of where the strike zone is on the batter. Right? I don't want to be looking at the outline at the perimeter of a rectangle. I want to be just looking at this guy who's standing there getting ready. I watch theater. I'm going to be looking at the guy's face, the concentration. I'm going to be concentrating on the pitcher, like when he's going to throw and how the batter squares up and whether he gets it or he lets it pass for either a ball or a called strike or he fouls it off. I don't need. And they do this with golf too now. Hopefully not with every golf thing, where the golfer hopefully is not holding the club like this unless he's Tiger Woods beating somebody. No, he's on the golf. They go, and then as the ball's going up, it's like leaving a vapor trail, a visual light trail that's showing just what direction it's going before it lands. It's like, okay. Of course I'm going to lose the ball in the sky. I'll see it when it comes down. Stop it. If you want on the replay to show me, this was the trajectory. It went to the left. Whoa. What's all that?
This is somebody writing back to you. Listen.
Oh, hold on.
This is one of your fans who I sent the thing to. Ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
I'll make it loud. I can't.
Happy Saturday. I would love to join him, but I'm at work today. I'm at work every Saturday now. That's why I haven't been seeing him.
Who's that from?
Happy Saturday. I would love to join him.
That's Ryan. Oh, crap. That's Ryan Hufford.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for your message.
Because I invited people.
So I would love it if people are writing in and saying hello and stuff like that. To comment on this. Have you been watching, if you're a Yankee fan, have you been watching
How are they doing, the Yankees?
games on that network? Or if Yes does other baseball games, what do you think about it? Can't they just leave well enough alone? Baseball has been well enough here and there from the late 1800s till now, just the way it is. Visually, right? People used to watch games in black and white. It was fine. They didn't have digital ways to say, this person's on base for two strikes on them, one ball. All this data that is crowding up the screen. If people wanted to see the scoreboard, the camera went to the actual physical scoreboard in the stadium.
The stats about the players, right?
Yeah, but okay, you can mention some of that. Some people are real, I guess, baseball nerds, and they want to see every little stat. There's room for that, I guess, especially if people are watching on like 55-inch TVs. You can kind of have a big old picture of what's going on and still have room on the bottom for here's the batter, here's his percentage for the year, here's how he does against lefty pitchers.
What I would like to see is their annual income and their tax statements.
I want to see the police record.
Arrest warrants, or number of contracts they've had, teams they've played for, their income.
Yeah, and they do way too much of that. But okay, it's stats and it stays in a certain part of the screen. But now, man, why are you messing with what ain't broke? And baseball is pretty damn broke because a game goes 3.5 hours now. because of commercials and sponsorships and everything else. And it's just, you're just breaking it further by adding visual nonsense. I can't even imagine what the next step
3D.
Yes.
Like a baseball, like a game.
Now, 3D, if they're not mucking with it, might be all right.
They'll make it part interactive where you can actually control the players.
If you pay enough for your cable subscription, you can control the pitcher's arm.
Yeah.
There's a side ball, curveball.
You can pick the lineup.
Yeah. Rotisserie league becomes the norm.
You could become an umpire.
Umpire. Yeah, you could make the call, the ball and strike. Like if you pay $100,000, you get to decide what the call is.
Yeah.
And if you're a home team fan, and that becomes part of the game. It's like everything's going along fine, but there's this risk factor this fan.
Do they win a ring? They get the ring at the end too.
They get the
baseball ring.
Do they get? I know the football players get a ring. And there was a former New York Jet who killed himself this week after killing his family.
What happened?
These people.
He went probably.
He went apeshit. It killed like his grandchildren or something like that.
Probably the concussion. Yeah.
I imagine so.
When they get concussion, it's really linked to bad forms of brain disease.
I thought it's just linked to forms of dementia that kills them when they're.
But if it's depending on the type.
Yeah.
Like frontotemporals, like woof. Some of the dementias are more aggressive and more fast.
See, if something happens temporal frontally to the brain, you wouldn't figure they become violent. They would just fall in lobe. That's a brain joke, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you don't mind. See, I want an exciting show, and this one's just getting medulla and duller. Yes. Do I make jokes like that? Of Cortex I do. I'm sorry. Enough. I don't know where these brain jokes stem from. All right, enough. So what else, dear? What else is going on?
I'm trying to invite people and not hurt my core.
Yes. I don't really, speaking of dead people, I don't have that much to say about DMX. Had a couple of good songs.
I feel bad that he was traumatized. I think.
Yeah.
I think in this culture, people don't realize that that trauma, like they say, right, the long shadow of childhood trauma, that he was traumatized as a young person. Like that affects you.
Of course, it affects you.
Forever and ever. I mean, it's like I feel like he was just. I don't know. I mean, it's bad. I think that plus addiction, it's a hard life. I feel bad for him that he struggled. I
kind of feel bad. I mean, he didn't do anything as far as, or was he a gangster, a real gangster at one point?
He had a lot of kids, so he was doing something.
All right. I mean, he knew how to handle a gun. So, no, but it kind of bugs me when you have children who had kids had terrible childhoods, they were abused, they were molested, they were beaten, whatever. Horrible, messes you up for life. And yet so many millions of people have that.
Yeah, but you don't see the internal scars. I mean, like the anorexics, the cutters, all those people.
Because they turn in on themselves.
Yeah.
As soon as it becomes an excuse to turn on someone else, I have issues with that.
So who did he turn on?
Well, I'm saying with DMX, at least, he made music, and if he was doing drugs, there were drugs that were hurting him.
He's trying to kill his demons.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall his whole story. If he's one of these people like the early rappers who were selling drugs and doing really bad stuff before they became famous. So I would have to go wiki him and Google him to see that. But it makes me a little bit mad, this idea that, well, just because they suffered horrible abuse or really neglected, terrible childhoods, therefore they went on and became bank robbers, murderers, killers.
I think it's that. I think that you have to appreciate the struggle. You have to understand that struggle. And I think that, it's easy to say from everyone's position of privilege, like, you never were put in what do you call it? Like, almost like an orphanage equivalent. I mean, that's like, or foster parents that use you for money. It's like, I think the level of which people are broken and then repair themselves is not recognized in the culture. You know, it's not
That's fair.
appreciated. Like you have no idea what it's like. Some
No.
of the places I've seen, like where older adults live in like complete like poverty and like they're abused, it's like you don't think that people could do this to other people. So if you've not understood that rise from that level is like
I agree with that. I also agree that, or I also see that you can choose to become Maya Angelou and Helen Keller when you're faced with certain levels of deprivation and problems in your early life, right? Versus you can choose then to become part of the local gang culture.
It's not choice, right? So if you have access to education or some kind of hand to help you, but if you're in a place where you absolutely have nothing, in like almost a war zone, you have no option, right? So you have no structural support, you have nothing. You do what you can. If you come from a place where you have an option, you're going to take it. You know, it's not. I think you're neglecting the infrastructure, the societal components that help or don't help.
I think there is definitely truth to that.
And who knows? Like we know two people who were born, you know, where the mother was addicted to something. Right, that affects the chemistry of the kid.
Sure.
I think there's so much it's just sad that I feel sad when people struggle.
I mean, Rabbi Sol Solomon's parents were addicted to pastrami.
Yes.
And it has totally affected, you know, in the sense that if he hasn't had a pastrami sandwich in more than 48 hours, he gets so cranky.
But he has an anger management issue, so he has a lot of hostility.
Oh, tremendous hostility. But is expressing hostility an anger management issue, or is it the venting of anger?
No,
in a healthy way.
He upsets many people.
Oh, well, of course, yes, he does.
Not just himself.
He certainly
He
does.
upsets many people. And he has no congregation. Everyone's left him.
No, it is not true.
Only his family.
Oh, well, he's a very large family. I mean, you know, every child he has 15 grandchildren now.
Not the baby barrel.
No, not baby barrel. Anyway, it's about 20 to 10 in the morning Eastern time here in the Daverhood, where we are doing the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. So, yeah, gotta love Colorado. We do quite a bit about Colorado here. We have our Colorado Limerick of the Damned later in the show. And the newspaper, oh yes, can't forget, the Greeley Tribune newspaper, which comes out 4 times a week, but it's you know, on the web 24/7. But, you know, this used to be a 7-day-a-week newspaper. I miss having this. Oh, this is an actual headline. I've shown this many, many times. Of the Greeley Tribune newspaper. Yes. And this is an actual photo. There's no doctoring at all. You know this.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, the Greeley
After
Tribune.
seeing that show, I don't want to see that.
Oh, Joyce was
God,
having nightmares last night about a show she watches on. So she watches, it's amazing. Like, she will watch these things before she goes to bed.
Oh,
And they're murder mysteries.
bad.
And sometimes they're kind of supernatural and spooky and scary. And then she'll also go to sleep watching this spy documentary series that they have on Netflix. So it's really interesting. It's all about the techniques that spies use and how they can infiltrate things, how you have honey traps and spies use sex to get ahead and get the information that they need and to entrap people. And then there's also one horrible episode of just how people have been murdered in very surreptitious ways by spies, poisoned. I mean, I find that incredibly disturbing. I try to go to sleep, and I'm hearing about how, you know, these girls, Korean girls at an airport, walk up to a diplomat. As a gag, they put a handkerchief in his face, and 10 minutes later, he's dead. You know, I don't need to think about that when I'm going to sleep. That fucking freaks me out, right? But and this is what I would be watching like goats in a field.
You'd be watching Merhaba.
Gamboling. What's Merhaba?
No.
Yeah, or we've been watching this, and I can't believe we're watching this, but this Arab cartoon called, I'm sorry what it is, but it's a very, shall we say, not for its day, because it's recent, it's pretty much brand new, but they're made in Saudi Arabia, and they are surprisingly critical of Arab life and...
Surprisingly, they're like...
Yeah.
They're pretty out there.
Yeah, and it's weirdly funny. The perspective is a little different, and it's missing some of the like punchlines that we're expecting.
The cadence is different.
Yeah, from Western culture, and sometimes the scenes will go on in conversation, and we'll be watching them like, okay, this scene's kind of going on. I guess it's funnier, to the Arab culture, but it's definitely worth. And the animation is quite funny, and it's certainly worth seeing. And it's Masamar or something like that.
Somebody said, "What are your videos about? What is it?"
Well, my video is about 3 hours long.
No,
Who's asking?
I said, "What is it?" It's a mixture
Of humor, culture, and interviews. I think that works. But anyway, so now how did I get from this to Greeley, Colorado? I don't know. But Greeley, Colorado, the Greeley Tribune newspaper, which has 2 columns that they do every single week for fun. I mean, it's a legitimate newspaper, but 2 of their columns are specifically designed to give readers a chuckle. One of them is called Cop Log, and it has to do with phone calls that come into the police department from people who see something going on in their neighborhood and immediately want to call the police and go, this is kind of off. It's public record. They gather the funniest, weirdest ones into a column called Cop Log. And then also in the Tribune, there's a column called 100 Years Ago, where Mike Peters, our friend of the Daverhood.
He's never killed a tree. You should say that.
He who has never, as far as I know, killed a tree.
No, he's never killed a tree.
He was a crime beat
No,
reporter.
he has, because he's published books that he's killed.
That's right. He only a couple of years ago, Mike Peters wrote a book, published it, so that, and it came out in hard copy form.
Wasn't it about some creepy case they solved? It was like some weird murder in Colorado.
I think it was his first case as a beat
Yes.
reporter for the Tribune.
But
It was an
very-
unsolved murder.
It
Yeah.
was violent.
Well, yeah, it was pretty horrible.
It was
They found the
murder.
body.
And he did an addendum or something because they updated how it would happen. It was very brutal.
And so he got more information about it. Years later, it was a cold case. He started tracking more stuff down about it and wrote a book about it. But more for fun, he does a column called 100 Years Ago. He goes into the newspapers, what was the Greeley Tribune back then. It was called the Greeley Tribune Republican, and finds what were they writing in a newspaper back in 1921, and how does it look from the perspective of our modern eyes? What seems kind of goofy, what's kind of nostalgic and cute, what's kind of weird and scary. He puts those all together. We put all of this together in a segment that we like to call, as I vamp and get ready for this, Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. We do it every week here on Dave's Gone By, and we have an absolute cornucopia, if you will, of criminality and old-timity to share with you on this episode, April 10th, 2021. Are you ready? Are you ready, hon? Are you ready, Papito? Okay, let me do.
Oh, no.
Oh, here we go. All right. Do you want to do the first crime of Greeley Crimes and Old Times, Papito? Let's see.
You can't read.
Let's see how he managed. Yeah, he can't read, so he's gonna. Let's see how he manages. Here we go. Okay, Potato, you're upside down. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, it would be. Can I have my glasses, please? You don't wear glasses, Papito. Your eyes are perfect. That's one of the things. You have some of the most perfect eyes of all the potatoes we have here. No, not these eyes. My back eyes. I need glasses for my back eyes. See, this one is foldy a little bit. It needs an electromologist. All right. Look, Papito,
He needs what?
help me. I don't know. Here's. Try reading. All right. Here we go. The first crime from Greeley Crimes and Old Times. A man. Very good, Potato. On 1 No, it's not 1 it's 10th. 10th Street. A man on 10th Street. What did he do? What did he do, Pepito? He clawed to okay. No,
Just
Papino,
gotta-
we'll practice. Maybe next week you get. No, I want to do me too.
Then how about you read and he could just tell you if it's right?
Good idea. Good idea. Here, Papino, you can sort of be like the color commentator. Oh, commentator. That's funny, because I'm a tater. Ha ha ha! I may hire you. That's fine, Papito. Here we go. A man on 10th Street called to inform police that another man was stealing his identity. The caller said that he Googled his name and found, lo and behold, someone else in the world had the same name.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You know what his name was?
What was his name?
John Smith.
Right, yeah, like you know, or like Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo. Who knew, right? Anyway, what did you think of that item, Papino? Continue. All right.
Ooh,
Kind of fickle.
continue.
A caller on 16th Avenue Court reported a man walking around with a bag in his hand, looking down drains.
Maybe he was going to dump a kitten.
When the caller asked, "What are you doing?" the man responded, quote, "Just doing a spiritual walk."
Ooh.
Because I know if I'm looking down sewers and I'm trying to find things crawling or lost down there, I've got the spirit in me. I don't
Might
know.
have been having, maybe he was a huffer. Like the bag he was huffing.
Oh, that
You
could.
know, huffer? You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? You understand that?
Oh, he's got the bag going. Yeah.
Maybe.
At least he didn't go off in a huff. Ha 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 ha! Well, that was cute, Potato. Oh, that was well done. Well, thank you. Please don't patronize me. All right.
Some time on Broadway.
What about Broadway?
Maybe. Oh, Peter should get some time on Broadway.
Soon. Here we go. Let's do another crime. A caller
No one.
at 17th and 7th said that someone was walking around banging on windows. The caller said, let's have a good banging. There we go. Same caller. Okay, so guy's walking around banging on windows.
It happens. Maybe he's looking for something.
Right. Caller said a couple of nights before
Yeah.
there was a man in her backyard
Yeah.
with a clown outfit on. I will repeat that. With a clown outfit on.
That could happen.
I
Maybe
guess
he
it.
was like one of the theater students who couldn't find their way to school.
Or he was just another bozo. Oh, I am good. I'm on fire. Yeah. Give me my ribbon. Okay, here's your beautiful red bow. Oh yeah. Oh man. Worship me, people.
Potato.
Oh, Papino's angry because he has to re-record all his old stuff because somebody else owns it. So he's re-releasing all his early music, redone with the same instrumentation, and he wants people to buy it. He's just, it's the way he is. He's very, very savvy about media. I have to say that.
Are you talking about Prince? Like making Prince reference? I don't get it.
No, it's a Taylor Swift reference.
Oh, I don't get that.
She's literally re-recording all her like albums from 5 and 10 years ago
Yeah.
because she doesn't own the rights to the music. Somebody else does.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't get anything on like an album she recorded in 2008.
Wow.
So she's just going in the studio and re-recording everything so that if that sells, she owns it.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah. Anyway, let's do a couple of old-timey things in our in our Greeley Crimes Old Times segment. In the moonshine trial of Robert Smith, and I sure hope Robert Smith finds a cure, the sheriff brought a great amount of evidence into the courtroom. That included a still, a cooking tank, a wash basin, a cooking stove, and a large cream can filled with moonshine. Go figure, the trial was attended by a large number of people attracted by the smell of illegal whiskey.
And I'm sure that, like that evidence never got lost, right?
And it hasn't been lost still. get still, little moonshine joke there. Now here's something interesting that Mike Peters has been doing. Apparently taking a break from the 100 years ago thing.
Oh, okay.
He has gone in now to do sort of a separate special column from the Greeley Trib. I guess it's their anniversary. He
What is it?
This is from 1871.
Yeah.
150 years ago. Not 100 years ago.
Why is it
150 years ago.
Is it 150 years old, the paper?
Must be.
Mhm.
From when they first started. And what happened was they reprinted these
Okay.
like 50 years ago. So he's reprinting what was printed 50 years ago in the paper from 100 years before that.
Wow.
So here we go, from 1871 in the Greeley Tribune Republican, or whatever it was called back then. The weather is most glorious to behold. The green grass is making an appearance on hill and vale. Isn't that, you can newspapers used to print stuff like that back in that was the weather report. Does anybody ever say hill and vale anymore? No. Yeah. I'm wearing my veil. You are indeed, Papito. Look, oh, yeah, no, that's not the best look for. That's this is Potato being see ya, I think.
Oh.
And I'll see you later. All right, anyway, moving on. Engineer Nettleton brought into town an eagle's wing, which, with its counterpart, measured 6 feet across. The wing would be suitable to trim a modern bonnet. Man, do we still, how modern are current bonnets? Do you have any idea about that?
I really am sad people don't wear hats anymore, but I don't think they're modern.
Yeah, I could use a
You
bonnet.
need a postmodern bonnet, which is probably a hoodie.
We're thinking of doing an order from Target or from Kohl's.
I think you should just get a hoodie. It's the postmodern bonnet.
I want a bonnet hoodie. That's what I would like. Or one of those Easter hoodies with frou-frou on it. Nobody uses frou-frou anymore either. This upsets me. Let's do one more from 150 years ago in the papers. Mr. Ramsey has built a manufactory. Oh, wow!
What?
Wow!
What?
Sometimes these really are mind-blowing. So the word factory, I guess, is a shortening of manufactory.
Oh.
It's when you manufacture things. It's a manufactory. Wow!
We learned something.
Because I love words, I love English, and this makes me happy. Near the river for the manufacture of sheep pelts into what? What do you think they're making sheep pelts into?
I don't know. Rugs?
I'll give you that. I'll give you a ding, ding, ding on that one. Wait, where's my, where's my musical instrument? Oh, here it is. They're making sheep pelts into fancy doormats. When they're tanned and colored and finished off, they're suitable for, quote, the nicest parlor. Who knew? Who knew? Anyway, by the way, it's just about 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Time, here in the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You're watching Dave's Gone By, our 793rd episode of the show. We're calling it WID and Wisdom because our guest in the Daverhood in about half an hour is going to be the composer-songwriter Stacy Widelitz. We're looking forward to that. He will be interviewed by the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon. Also coming up, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, our Today, Yesterday History Quiz, our Inside Broadway segment, and let's see, did I get everything? Oh, and Rabbi Sol doing a Rabbinical Reflection on returning at some point to normalcy in America. I do want to remind you that if you're curious about the show, someone wrote in before and said, what kind of videos do you do? I want to tell you, it's pretty easy to find out. Just go to davesgoneby.com. Dave with a V like my name, Daves with an S, goneby.com. This is the official website of the program, and it's where we keep all of our archives. We have almost every episode that we have ever done archived on this website, from the earliest shows that were audio only and an hour long, they were on terrestrial radio, all the way up through the shows we did on college radio, and for the past 3 or 4 years, the videos that we've been doing on Facebook. It's all Dave's Gone By, it's all saved, and it's all watchable or listenable at davesgoneby.com. come. Plus, we even have a whole separate archive of all the interviews that we've done. So we've extracted them from the longer programs. If you just want to hear the interviews, that's on davesgoneby.com too. So please check that website out. You can also, of course, go and stay on our Facebook page. And if you keep scrolling and scrolling and searching, you'll find all the video shows that we've done on Facebook, going back to about 2019 or 18. Those are here, but those are also at davesgoneby.com. We also post our archives at archive.org. We're not connected to them at all. They're just a not-for-profit website that is gathering entertainment from the past, 7,000 years, and we're proud to be part of that. Our shows are there, archive.org. Our audio is also at castbox.fm for those of you who are really into just doing podcasts and not having to watch. Castbox.fm. You'll also find our stuff on YouTube. It's there too. Sometimes muted out because of rights issues with songs that we played, but YouTube also. You Google Dave's Gone By, we come up in a whole bunch of places. And if you happen to be awake on early Monday mornings at 1 o'clock or Tuesdays at 4 a.m., if you put on Channel 20 of the local cable provider for Nassau County, if you have Altice, Cablevision, Comcast, whatever they call it. As long as it's still in Altice, Channel 20, 1 in the morning on Mondays, 4 in the morning on Tuesdays, you'll find 1 hour excerpts completely at random of Dave's Gone By. It's not really the best way to watch the show, but we might pick up some new viewers and new fans because they're they don't know from this. They're not on Facebook, and suddenly it's like, what the hell is this? And they start watching, and when they've watched for an hour, they still go, what the hell was that?
Oh, everyone loves you.
Everybody loves Dave, and of course, beautiful. We call him Beautato because he's just so aesthetically beautiful.
He's narcissistic now, David. It's going to be a problem.
It's already a problem.
It's going to be a real problem if he continues with this narcissistic attitude.
Well, let's see how he does. Let's get back to some crimes in old times, and let's see how he does on another crime. Are you ready, Potato? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I am. Thank you for asking. See, that was very nice of him. A woman called to report that someone put slime under her daughter's windshield wipers.
Wait, say that again?
I'll read this one again. A woman called to report that someone put slime under her daughter's windshield wipers while her car was parked at Center Place Drive.
Oh, we know where that is.
Center Place, of course. And the woman was worried that this may be a human trafficking ploy.
What?
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah.
Can you explain that to me?
No, I can't. Nobody can explain that. Can you explain this, Papito? So there's slime under the windshield wipers, and this is somehow connected to white slavery and human trafficking.
Why would it?
Yeah, I guess the girl gets out of her car. There's somebody there with a bucket of slime, who greases her up, puts her in the trunk, and then she's.
I would think that it's probably kids doing a prank.
Yeah, I would guess that.
That would be my go-to.
Yeah.
Or it might. How does she know it's slime? It could be.
This actually happens a lot to Rabbi Sol Solomon.
Really?
Because what happens is he has people, congregants of his are not wealthy. So it's like the old To Kill a Mockingbird thing where the guy needs legal advice. So he pays Atticus Finch in flour and corn and harvest stuff. Yeah. Rabbi Sol, his constituents, when they can't pay him, they pay in schmaltz.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And gefilte fish, the stuff that floats in.
Doctor, right?
Yeah. So they just bring it to his car, and they're too poor to afford buckets and containers. So they just literally put the gefilte fish on the windshield of his car. They sometimes do it with the duck fat and the goose fat. It's horrible. He doesn't have the brightest the brightest congregants.
But at least they try to reciprocate.
That's right. They're trying, and it's better than borscht.
That's really nice. I enjoy that.
One time they poured a whole amount of borscht over the car, and he thought it was a mass murder. He ran screaming. He thought it was the Holocaust again. So much better that it's fat.
Yeah.
And gefilte fish, floaty broth. Yeah. Anywho, let's do. We have to go outside. Excuse me. Pardon me. we have to, every week in Greeley Crimes Old Times, we actually go away from Greeley for a story that happens elsewhere in the world. I'm getting bored. You're not talking to me. You're not paying attention to me. To me. All right, why don't you stay right there while I read this elsewhere. No, it's just too hard to. All right, I mean, in close up, they do see some of your flaws, puppy. Flaws?
David.
This will get him though. This will get him thinking.
No,
What do I need? Do I need a tuck?
oh, God.
Oh my gosh, I need a wax, I need a tuck. Oh, there's sprouts in my eyes, I'm getting old. All right, he'll leave us alone for a little bit now. This story from this past week comes to us from Florida, reported by Fox News. The the naked Florida woman, you've got my attention already. The naked Florida woman that rescuers pulled out of a storm drain on Tuesday had been missing for 3 weeks, according to local reports. Authorities said that a passerby called 911 after hearing 43-year-old Lindsay Kennedy calling for help from within an 8-foot pit in Delray Beach. Police and firefighters lowered a harness and pulled her to safety while holding up a white sheet to protect the nude woman's privacy and apparently to arouse her Orthodox Jewish husband. Authorities said she was scraped up and couldn't stand on her own. Her mother reportedly told investigators her daughter had a history of mental illness. Well, I don't know. If you get caught in a storm drain, that's just great. Get it? That's that joke just drained me. Anywho, how does that? If they had done that to Snooty the manatee, if they caught him when he got caught in the.
I think it was murder. I think Snooty was a hit.
Really?
Snooty was some sort of hit.
Wow. No, the mafia tees went after him. You have to go back to some of our old shows for that one.
It was a dugong.
Oh, was it really? So it'd be then it would be the Chinese gangs because they do gongs. Anywho, let's get back to one or two more Greeley Crimes Old Times before we move on to more of the program. For example, wait, where is my example? How did I lose that? Here we are. A caller on First Street reported that for the past 2 nights, their neighbor's cat had been coming into their yard. Caller said this was illegal and wanted to show officers video of it. Little too much time on her hands during the pandemic, do you think? Cat scratch fever, do. Meanwhile, a caller on 2nd Street asked if officers could come and speak with their 10-year-old son, who has been starting small fires in their home. Usually when they say, oh, could you talk to my kid? He's misbehaving. He's doing this. Please send a policeman to tell my kid to eat his vegetables. If a kid is starting to set small fires in the house, I think I would have a policeman come over.
That's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. A caller on 10th Street. Oh, you were talking about hoodies before. Reporting a man in a red hoodie carrying a suitcase and a bloody axe. This is not Halloween, by the way. This is just like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Carrying a man in a red hoodie with a suitcase and a bloody axe. You think he was up to no good? You think it was?
I think he was going to put on a clown costume and go in that lady's yard.
This is not why we call DoorDash, I'll tell you. Anywho, let's do one or two more old-timey things, and we'll go on to our next segment. So again, this is not from 100 years ago. This is from 150 years ago in the newspapers in Colorado. The Greeley Tribune has obtained a new heading, and it's supposed to be a facsimile of H.G.'s handwriting, a.k.a. Horace Greeley, the founder of the newspaper.
Says good morning from Chicago.
Who says this? Okay, Vicky, how you doing? speaking of writing for things, so yeah, the Tribune has this new heading. It is, says the paper, a fine illustration of the electrotyper's art, because none but a master could have copied such irregular hen tracks.
Ooh.
Oh, how witty.
Those hen tracks.
Oh, that Horace Greeley. See, he should have become a doctor with that kind of handwriting. Anywho, what else? To whom it may concern, this is in the papers back in 1871, it having been reported that our leader, Mr. C.W. Sanborn, favored having a ball after our concert Friday Eve, and was stigmatized as a hypocrite, we, the undersigned, do hereby exonerate him from all participation in the matter.
Wow.
The ball was proposed by the band, hoping they might lessen the expenses of the concert. Mr. Sanborn has control over the band only while practicing or playing in the streets, and is not responsible for what is done at any other time. Well, I'm telling you, I am so aghast at Mr. Sanborn's balls. Thank you very much. That's not part of it. I just kind of added that tag on the end, if you know what I'm saying, and I think you don't. Oh, yeah, one more criminality thing. I can't stop myself. I'm addicted to Greeley Crimes Old Times today. Let's do one more. A caller on 20th Street said that they followed the wrong car into a storage facility, and now they can't get out. They called the storage company, but no one was answering the phone. What?
The gates lock. In storage facility, you need to have the card access to get in and out.
Well, at least we know that storage facility is safe. You know, at least they take care of their stuff. Speaking of, I mentioned DoorDash. A man on 11th Street reported that his neighbors didn't like his music. So they took his food when it was delivered by DoorDash. That's going to be a good situation to grow up on that street. And it's going to be like, you don't like my music? I'm going to take your food. It's like, oh boy. But this one, a lot of these are frivolous. A lot of these are like, oh, come on, I can't believe people are calling. But this is actually kind of major. A caller reported that a power pole along O Street fell on her husband's truck. And he was almost electrocuted. So that's a real thing. That's kind of like, oops. And that's pretty major. Apparently he was okay. But some of our stories, I guess, are rather...
That's grim. I'm surprised they put that.
Grim and shocking. And the interesting thing is, when he called the police, they didn't charge him. Oh, we are sizzling today on Dave's Gone By, and that, my friends, is Greeley Crimes and Old Times for this Saturday, April 10th, 2021. Let's have Groucho do our outro.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, 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 yi, yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Thank you, Mr. Marks. You earn high marks from me here on Dave's Gone By. It's about 10:15 Eastern Time here in the Daverhood. We have much, much more show for you, including our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, Rabbi Sol Solomon's interview with composer Stacy Widelitz, and our Today-Yesterday quiz. You don't want to miss any of that. And Rabbi Sol also doing a Rabbinical Reflection. It's all here on this April 10th edition of our 793rd show, which, by the way, is brought to you in part by the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. Anything that you need done, specifically from a Minuteman franchise, by all means go to this Minuteman franchise, because the Toron family has owned and operated it since the mid-1970s. So we have W today for Stacy Widelitz. Let's see what they can do for your company with the letter W. wedding accessories, including all sorts of stuff that you can do for your wedding. Balloons and guest books and ketubas and lace cards. Don't even know what that is. Toasting glasses. I know I put a glass on the toaster. It did not go well. Wedding invitations and enclosures, as well as wedding programs. And these are some of the wonderful W things that Minuteman Press can do to get word out about your product, event, or service. Let me tell you, if you give them a call, 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577, and you tell them that Dave sent you, or you show up to their place at 1313 Broadway in Hewlett, and you say, hey, I'm a fan of Dave's Gone By. I watched that show. He's pretty funny, and that potato is really, really beautiful. Thank you. You tell them that, they'll give you 10% off any job, big or small. Give them a call, 516-569-5577, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the Copy Kings. Well, as I always say, I feel like king of the universe when I do this program every Saturday morning from 9 until noon or thereabouts. But also, I feel rather kingly when, back in the day, I would be treated to a Broadway or an off-Broadway show. I come into the city, I was press, I'd be writing or speaking about the show, so I got in usually free, sometimes with 2 tickets, and I get to be a privileged New Yorker watching people entertain me. I love it. I'm a playwright. I'm an actor, a director. I'm also a theater journalist, theater critic, have been for 30-something years. And so with all of that in mind, I do love telling you about Broadway and the theater and sharing that with you, which we do almost every week in a segment that we like to call Inside Broadway. Let's vamp. Here it is, Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Inside Broadway we go, because I find it exciting. I mean, you hear all about movies, you hear all about sports, you hear all about popular music everywhere you go. It's nice that you can come here, and I can tell you what's going to be happening on and off Broadway. So, of course, yes, technically, Broadway theater is still on a hiatus until May 30th. And they were talking for many months about, well, it really won't be until October, November, or maybe even 2022 that we have Broadway shows. No, with people getting shots, with things ramping up, it looks like they're going to get the wheels turning almost immediately so that by September...
You have to show a certificate that you've been vaccinated post 14 days.
What about 14 days?
Yeah, so the guy went to a show and he said a couple paid $100 per ticket.
Yeah.
And they couldn't go in because they didn't... You have to do a survey and show proof that you've been vaccinated, and it's been 14 days since their second shot.
You almost get like a passport that will show,
yes.
I've been vaxxed. So here's the deal, though. With all that in mind, they're really feeling that maybe by September even, they can get things going in a quietly distanced way and get the wheels turning a little bit on Broadway, probably significantly more off-Broadway, because a lot of times that's grant-funded and subsidized and not-for-profit. So this is exciting. So last Saturday, already a week ago, these things that we've been talking about, New York Pops Up, where it's sort of almost impromptu performances because they don't want to draw thousands of people. They just want like a couple, 100, a few dozen to test the waters. And they did this at the St. James Theater on Broadway, 1,700 seats in that theater. They let in, the last show in that theater was Frozen, which should give you some idea.
Oh my God.
They let in 150 people, all of whom masked, all of whom vaxxed, all of them...
How many did it hold?
1,700. 150 people out of 1,700. And what did they come for? They came for a 40-minute performance with no real sets, no real costumes or anything, but 2 heavyweight people in the theater. Savion Glover of course, from the Tap Dance Kid and Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, and one of our greatest Broadway people of all, Nathan Lane. So Nathan Lane did a Paul Rudnick monologue. Glover did some dancing and did some monologuing. A 40-minute show for these people. Audiences came an hour early for this. They had their temperatures tested. They had to show proof of being fully vaxxed or a negative COVID test. Also, they had to fill out a questionnaire for contact tracing. And they said, after showing their online tickets through SeatGeek, they went through metal detectors. After that, everything actually felt kind of normal-ish. This is a quote from Broadway Briefing. Between the enhancements to ticketing, safety, and information in the theater, the pandemic may have inadvertently ushered Broadway into a more modern era of customer service. If they can maintain some of these things, it'll make getting in and intermission, going to the bathroom, a lot less chaotic. Ticketing will be faster and better. Maybe. And they did put in a bunch of new air filters for this performance and maybe to stay at the theater. California is reopening some of their venues as of April 15th. It's starting. Now, I do have to unfortunately mention a couple of things that are ending or did end this week. One of them is the life of an actor named Paul Ritter, English actor. He died at the age of 54 from a brain tumor back on April 5th. He was a Tony nominee. He was in that marvelous revival of the Norman Conquests. He played Reg in the 2009 Broadway revival. That was his real Broadway credit. Everything else he did in the West End, including The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and he was an Olivier Award nominee for the play Coram Boy, but alas, we have lost Paul Ritter at the age of 54. Much better known on American shores, we lost a pretty important playwright this past week, Arthur Coppett, at the age of 83. I had no idea. He was raised in Lawrence, Long Island.
Wow.
Like 3-4 miles from where we are right now. He was born Arthur Lee Koenig, but he took his stepfather's surname. 2-time finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, including his play Wings, about a stroke victim, and his other play, sort of controversial play, Indians. He was a 3-time Tony nominee for Indians and Wings, and he adapted the book for the musical Nine, a very popular musical that our friend of the Daverhood, Mario Fratti, also worked on. Coppett's career really started back in 1962 with the off-Broadway play Oh Dad, Poor Dad, Mama's Hung You in the Closet and I'm Feeling So Bad. Imagine we used to have Broadway plays with titles like that. It was off-Broadway, directed by Jerome Robbins, of all people, and it moved briefly to Broadway after that. Coppett then wrote a lot of one-act plays, and in 1969 he had a major show called Indians, which demythologized the American West. It really showed how horribly we treated Native Americans in this culture. And what happened was it opened. Clive Barnes, who was writing for the New York Times, loved it, but Walter Kerr of the Tribune hated it. So there you go. Already careers decided by the papers of record. But Coppett then did a lot of avant-garde pieces after that and play cycles. He also did, of course, Nine. Other plays included off-Broadway's The Road to Nirvana, which I recall being a very David Mamet kind of satire. Y2K was another play of his. End of the World with Symposium to Follow. Wonderful title. And Arthur Coppett did work on some musicals. He wrote the book for High Society, which was on Broadway about a decade or so ago. He also was the guy who wrote the book for Phantom. Now, not Phantom of the Opera, the Andrew Lloyd Webber one, but the other one, supposedly the better one, that has been done in the regionals all over the place, and it was just bad timing that they could never get that Phantom to Broadway for obvious reasons. He taught at Wesleyan, CUNY, Yale, although his papers are at NYU. And Jeffrey Sweet, our friend of the Daverhood, a fellow playwright, wrote about him, quote, I suppose the listed age of 83 must be right for Arthur Coppett, but all my memories of him are radiating a youthful enthusiasm. So a big, big farewell to Arthur Coppett. I remember seeing a musical version of Wings. It was quite good. So farewell to him. We're not bidding farewell, however, to Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway, a magazine that has been around since 1944, a journal that shows everything going on, off, and off Broadway, as we start moving forward towards the summer, towards Labor Day, towards theater really starting up again back in New York. You will need this, whether you're in the industry or you just care about commercial and non-commercial theater in New York. This is what's in every issue. A guide to all the shows, a map of the Broadway district, a guide to every theater, who owns it, how many seats it has, and what's playing in it, a guide to the press agents, the folks who handle the publicity for all these shows. And then our day-by-day listings, which are going to start leaving, are off Broadway listings day by day. That's starting up again. There's some shows with opening dates and preview dates. You're going to need this journal, Performing Arts Insider, especially for our comprehensive listing of every show that's just waiting to come back, that's just been biding its time, and now they're going to be, week after week, we're going to see more dates announced for shows returning. Performing Arts Insider, go to performingartsinsider.com, performingartsinsider.com, to find out more about the Bible of Broadway. You can either subscribe to a full year or buy issue by issue, or if you just want the digital version via PDF, it'll save you some money, we can do that too. performingartsinsider.com, the Bible of Broadway. Well, Broadway lost another individual this past week, but he lived until 94. We're talking about William Biff McGuire, the actor. Check this out, he debuted back in 1944. In a flop called Bright Boy. In 1948, he was a singer in the Broadway revue Make Mine Manhattan, and he actually introduced the song Anything Can Happen in New York. He played a radio operator in the original South Pacific, did William Biff McGuire. In 1955, he was in the Arthur Miller play A Memory of Two Mondays on Broadway. 1957, he appeared with Carl Malden in the, well, it was kind of a flop. It ran for 3 weeks in a show called The Egghead. And then he was in a revival of Finian's Rainbow in 1960 with a young Robert Guillaume. Robert Guillaume played second geologist not first geologist, second geologist in that revival of Finian's Rainbow. But the cool thing is, for William Biff McGuire, when he was doing that musical, he met British actress Jeannie Carson doing the show, and he married her. And they stayed married. I think he survived by her. I'm not sure. And then in 1969, he was in William Saroyan's The Time of Your Life with Philip Bosco, James Broderick, and Priscilla Pointer. 1992, this is when I was already starting to see him at the theater. He was in the terrific Herb Gardner play Conversations with My Father, featuring Judd Hirsch and a not well-known Tony Shalhoub. And then he was Tony nominated in 1997 for Horton Foote's Pulitzer-winning play The Young Man from Atlanta. Last time he was on Broadway was in a revival of Mornings at 7 in 2002. He was Tony nominated for this. And check out the cast of Mornings at 7 of this revival. Buck Henry, Julie Haggerty, Elizabeth Franz, Christopher Lloyd of Taxi fame, Estelle Parsons, Frances Sternhagen, Stephen Tobolowsky, our friend of the Daverhood, and Piper Laurie. Not too shabby. And also Biff McGuire appeared in 30 shows at Seattle Repertory Theater. Says former Associate Artistic Director Doug Hughes, quote, "He was reserved and even shy in real life, but he had a nearly scary confidence once he stepped on a stage. He had a special gift for repose, a commanding stillness that magnetized an audience," did Biff McGuire. And finally, not going out on a negative note and not ending this segment on a sad note, here's some news. A Beautiful Noise. That is going to be the name of a musical with a book by Anthony McCartan and songs by the one, the only Neil Diamond. And they're prepping this for Broadway. They're going to premiere it in the summer of 2022, so not this summer, but next, at Boston's Emerson Colonial Theater, with Broadway-eyed thereafter. If you want to know some of the credits on these people, the book writer Anthony McCartan wrote the screenplay for Bohemian Rhapsody. So look for A Beautiful Noise, the Neil Diamond bio-musical, coming to a theater somewhat near you sometime in the future. But yes, life goes on, theater goes on inside Broadway. Where's come on? Where's my outro music? Oh! I know what I need to look for. Here we go. Here it is, and Rabbi Sol will be with you in a moment. Oh! I can't find. Oh no! Where is it? Oh man! Hold on. Oh, I don't have that. Let's try this one then. Yes.
It's the famous gay white way, where the night is bright as day. Ain't Broadway grand? It's not just a thoroughfare, it's a tingle in the air. Ain't Broadway grand? It's excitement, it's romance, it's all fun and song and dance. This wonderland. You can be a millionaire quicker here than anywhere. Ain't Broadway grand?
You audition very well. You're in great form, you can tell. Ain't Broadway grand? As you do your lash and take, we'll call you is all they say. Ain't Broadway grand? Then it happens they pick you, and your dream is coming true, just as you planned. And that opening night is here, and the critics rave and cheer. Ain't Broadway grand?
Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. It is delightful for me to be here on this Dave's Gone By episode. I, of course, am Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am delighted to be talking to a fellow and former-ish Long Islander. He is a composer. He is a musician. Let me tell you a little bit about this Jewish man that we are looking at on the screen right now. He co-wrote a hit song called She's Like the Wind. Ooh, windy, with his friend, his late friend Patrick Swayze, for a little movie you may have heard of called Dirty Dancing, but he's done so much more than that. He's written scores for scores of TV movies and movies, Pocahontas 2, 500 Days of Summer, and of course, how could we forget, She Woke Up Pregnant, which, let's face it, is most of the women I've ever dated. Ladies and gentlemen, he's also a photographer now, and we are delighted and excited that we even see like the not really gold records, like gold CDs behind him. Won't you please welcome to the Daverhood our new friend, Stacy Widelitz. Shalom, Stacy.
Well, it's Widelitz, actually, just so you know.
Oh dear, oi, I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. Why?
Oh, that's all right. It happens all the time.
Yeah, because you wouldn't figure it would be pronounced like that. But I guess it's closer to Simon than Itzkowitz, as it would be.
Yeah, there are two branches of my family. There's Widlitzes, which have no E, and there's Widlitzes, which do have an E. Mm-hmm. And but we're all related. Anybody that has the last name Widlitz or Widelitz or Widelitz are related. It all goes back to one man in Poland in the early 1700s.
Do you know that man? Did you have records of him or on your family tree? Yeah.
There's a member of my family, he's like my third cousin up in Canada, who did a complete genealogy because he got interested in a recessive gene in our family that carries a blood disorder called beta thalassemia. And as a result of researching this, he brought the family all the way back to, I think his name was Herschel or Herzl Widelitz in Ostrów, Poland. So in like 1720, so it's amazing.
But what does this beta carotene thing do to your body? What kind of disease is it there?
It's almost like a sickle cell anemia. Fortunately, I don't have it, but there are parts of the family that carry the gene.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing you were Poland, because if you were in Russia, it would be hammer and sickle cell anemia.
That's right, exactly.
I do comedy. This is what I do. I'm Rabbi Sol. This is Stacy Widelitz. By the way, what is your Hebrew name?
Simcha.
Simcha. Oh, I love it. Simcha means happy. Are you a happy person in general?
No, I'm actually fairly morose. No,
You are Jewish, yes.
Yeah, I was born on the second night of Passover. And so I was named Simcha with taking the initial from a relative. And of course, my father's joke from that point on was I took one look and I passed over. So, because my father did comedy also.
But it is, I guess your dad knew how to use a shank bone. Let me tell you. So you grew up on Long Island. How was it? Did you like it? Was it Plainview? Where were you raised? You were in
Plainview in most of the time in Plainview, near the Suffolk County border, and I enjoyed it. It first off, the school system at that time was incredible. It was public school. I think I learned how to write more about basic writing skills in high school than I did in college. And also the access to New York City was fantastic. And my parents were both very artistically inclined. So they took my brother and me to, as soon as we were, old enough, to Broadway shows, to the museums, to great restaurants.
Right now, what's the first Broadway show that you remember going to?
Oh, it blew my mind, made such a huge impression. It was the original Broadway cast of Man of La Mancha, which is actually
who was in there at that point? Was it Joan Diener, Richard Kiley, and all
Richard Kiley, Joan Denier, and it was unbelievable. I mean, because it's so funny at times and sad, and there's a sexual assault scene. There's
I love that one. Yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah. Of all the sexual assault scenes on Broadway, that one is. I'm telling you.
But I mean, it's such a powerful piece, and I remember, at that point I was playing piano for a couple of years, and I remember walking out of the theater and thinking about it, and then listening to the soundtrack album, and I think it set the germ in my head of maybe this is what I want to do, is actually write music or be in music.
So there's also a difference of being, sing us a song, you're the piano man, versus becoming a composer. When did you realize I have a facility, I'm going to start writing songs or even classical-ish musical compositions?
Well, I was always able to make stuff up, and which I think is when you're a composer or songwriter, there's something ineffable that can't be taught, which is the actual ability to write a melody or a chord pattern or something. You can gain technical skills to learn how to use those elements better, but you either have the ability to write music or you don't. Right. And what happened was in the summer between high school and my first year of college, I had saved up enough money, and my father pitched in for it as well, to get my first synthesizer. And then I got a TIAC 4-track, and I started making compositions. I was listening to a lot of electronic music, very, very blown away by the score of Clockwork Orange, synthesized Wendy Carlos, then Walter Carlos became Wendy Carlos. And
wait, what? I don't remember. He had the operation?
Yeah, Walter Carlos became Wendy Carlos. And actually, during the making of Clockwork Orange, she was going through the transition period.
Wow, it's more like orange word cock. No, I blew that joke. All right, sorry. Continue.
Right. Obviously, we're not, on, public radio, but so
more like pubic radio now. But okay, continue.
So anyway, so I started doing these, little compositions with sound on sound, and I got introduced to a little recording studio in Connecticut in my sophomore year of college, and I played some of the stuff for the engineer, which he liked, and plus I was hired to write some music for a project. They were an educational project, and I did that, and they liked that, and it just kind of snowballed from there that they started hiring me to write these scores for, I'm dating myself, but film strips, where it was frame and frame and frame with a pre-recorded soundtrack, a narration. And the first group of film strips that they hired me for was actually quite a thrill, because there were 5 stories by Ray Bradbury, who was one of my favorite writers, and they were narrated by Ray Bradbury.
That's pretty.
So,
yeah.
So I got to work with his voice, and he had this very plaintive quality to his voice. And I remember they had me do a demo to see if I would get the series, and it was one of his stories called The Foghorn, which is an incredibly sad story about a foghorn whose horn sounds like the mating call of an ancient sea dinosaur. And there's only one of those dinosaurs left, and it's drawn to the foghorn.
Oh dear.
Thinking that it's found its mate. And when it sees that it's not its mate, it actually destroys the lighthouse and the foghorn. But it's just such a great story. So I did this thing kind of with rolling waves and all this. And the engineer and producer, you know, evidently listened to it and liked it. And they hired me to do 5 of their stories. That turned into me doing probably 150 of those film strips over a period of.
Now, do you have copies of that? Do you have the audio of them? Or are they gone? Or are they just, where are they?
You know, it's interesting because this company was based in Connecticut. There's a library in Connecticut that has a lot of this stuff. I believe in Norwalk, Connecticut.
How would you show it? Would you need a slide projector and a
it was a special machine.
Oh wow!
That, a roll of film went into it, and a cassette with a soundtrack, and there was a very low audio tone that would change the frame in sync with the audio cassette.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really, you know, kind of state of the art for the time.
Let me ask you also about composing music for things like that, as well as you later composed for TV movies and things like where it isn't so much about quote unquote melody, right? It's more about sustaining a mood. I mean, how do you jive with, like, you know, you like songs, you like music, you like the songs in Dirty Dancing, but now you're really just sort of like, okay, there's someone behind that door, creepy, creepy, creepy.
Right.
Is it different, or is it the same?
It varies. Sometimes it's just setting the mood. You know, it can be as simple as a high string or something low, you know, because I did a lot of suspense. So I was kind of an expert at that. And, but other times it's melodic also. There's a parallel to opera, where in opera you hear one of those great arias, and then it recurs throughout the opera for emotional effect. It's calling that moment back. Or sometimes you even hear the melody before the big aria is sung. So it all ties together and creates this character arc that carries you through. So melody to me was very important a lot of times in my scoring work, because the melody created the emotional effect. Like I did a documentary for ABC World of Discovery on the plight of the black rhinoceros, called the Last Charge of the Rhino, which I called the Last Charge of the Wino. But it was, you know, they said, we want grandeur because it's the African savanna.
Right, yeah.
But we also want this melancholy quality because these animals are endangered. And I felt that could only be achieved through melody. And actually, just when I was working, you start thinking, and this stewing process begins. And but you're under a tremendous deadline, so you've got to get working on it. And I remember I was living in Venice, California at the time, with the piano in the living room, and I was living with my then girlfriend, Karen. And I just sat down at the piano and I actually played. I'm sitting at my piano.
So, they wouldn't let the black rhinoceroses move into the white rhinoceros neighborhoods for many,
that's right.
It's very upsetting, yes.
it was wipe my nostrils. We're living in Levittown, so it was but it was the melody that made the piece work, and then you bring that back for emotional effect throughout the whole hour-long show, and it unifies it.
Now, speaking of a unifying thing, you're certainly not hiding whatever it is behind your head. Now, are those gold records? Is that for what? Was what
specifically? Okay, those are platinum records, and that's this is specifically for the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. It represents 11 million records sold in the United States.
Wow!
Yeah.
So that movie gave you the time of your life. Let me tell you. Little joke. Now, you wrote. How much did you write for that particular movie? Was it the one song with Patrick Swayze, or more, or all the scoring, or what?
No, it was just the one song, and we didn't write it for Dirty Dancing. We wrote it 2 years prior to the movie, and we wrote it for a different movie, and it wasn't used in that film, fortunately. And Patrick and I were friends. We lived around the block from each other in LA, and had met in his acting class. And so it's not like we were teamed up to write the song or something, and they teamed the actor with the composer. No, he approached me saying, I've had this idea for a song for a while. I can't get anywhere with it. Do you want to work on it with me? And that's how we ended up writing it.
Now, when you first became friends, he was still just a young up-and-coming, he hadn't had success yet, right?
He'd had a certain degree of success. He had been in The Outsiders, the
Coppola film, right?
Yeah, Coppola film. He was in a television show called Renegades. He was in had made an impression. He was in a very good episode of MASH, where he played a young soldier in the hospital. So he'd done something. And actually, when we met in his acting class, I said, you look really familiar. And he said, have you seen The Outsiders? He mentioned a few things, none of which I'd seen. And which
when you mentioned MASH, you were like, oh, right?
Yeah, right. Well, no, that was later. I saw that later. But then this blonde woman came over, and he said, this is my wife, Lisa. And I said, okay, I got it. The two of you are always working on a black 240Z on La Jolla Avenue on the weekends. And they said, yeah, how do you know that? And I said, I live right around the block from you. I see you every weekend. So we were 2 houses away from each other.
Oh, so tell us something about youngish, already semi-famous, Patrick Swayze. Some stories, some happy memories of this man.
Well, he was a great guy. I mean, there's a reason we became friends right away. First off, there were the artistic interests. He and his wife both came out of dance. They had met in his mother's dance class in Houston, Texas. And I had a background in dance, not as a dancer, thank God, but
that's so Jewish, yes.
Yeah, there's a great modern dance company in New York City that's been there for many years called the Jose Limon Dance Company.
Right.
And for 3 summers in my late teens into probably time I was 20 or so, I worked as an improv accompanist with them for about 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, which was a tremendous experience. So they were surprised to find, we were talking, and they said, well, yeah, I was with Elliot. Patrick said I was with the Elliott Feld Ballet. And I said, I worked with the Jose Limon Dance Company. And they were like, what? So it's, there was a lot of commonality. And then also at that point, I was living with my then girlfriend, Wendy Fraser, who's a great singer who sings on She's Like the Wind. She's the female voice at the end of the song. So the 4 of us just started hanging out and became friends. But one of my, from that period of time, one of my favorite stories was he had been shooting a movie. I think it was Youngblood or some movie that he was shooting in Canada. And he was still living around the block, but by this point he had done the movie Red Dawn. And in that movie, they let him he was a tremendous horseman, cowboy. And so they let him keep the horse that he rode in that film. And he had it up at a horse boarding place called the Glendale Equestrian Center, about maybe 30, 40-minute drive from where we were living. And at that time, also, he had bought a DeLorean, which is a really stupid car. And, with the gull wings, the whole thing. And I was in bed, Wendy's there, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rang. And I'm like, what? And I picked up the phone, and I knew Patrick as Buddy. All his friends and family called him Buddy. So he said, hi, it's Buddy. And I just flew in from the set, and, I'm in a really weird mood, and I just want to see my horse. Will you come with me and see my horse? So I'm looking at the phone, and Wendy's, who is it? And I said, Buddy. And she said, what does he want? And he said, he wants me to go see his horse with him.
Did you?
And so
in his DeLorean?
So I walked around. I said, okay, I said, I think he really needs somebody to go with him. So we walked around the block, or I walked around the block, get in his DeLorean. We drive up to the equestrian center, and we walk into the big barn. He flips on the light, and it was like the movie Equus, with all these horses startled looking at us with the steam coming out of their noses and wondering who is just turned on the light. So he goes to his horse, and he's hugging it, and he's talking to it, big animal person, also loved dogs. And so, we spend like 20 minutes there. So now it's, I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. And we go back to the car, and I could tell that it was possible that he had had something to drink on the airplane.
Oh, okay.
And maybe, also took something to help him sleep on the airplane, because I think he was flying all the way from Canada, I think. So he turned to me and he said, I don't think I should drive. I think you should drive us back home. And I looked at him and I said, I haven't driven a stick since high school. And so he looked at me and he said, I'll teach you. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, he's trying to teach me how to get into reverse in his DeLorean. And after about 6 screeching, I finally got the thing into reverse, got it into first gear, then second gear, and drove all the way home, which meant going down Laurel Canyon Boulevard, which goes like this, in second gear, driving like this, like terrified, because you're also like this low off the ground.
Oh, because it's yeah.
And so it was a hysterical.
In retrospect, it wasn't funny then. It was hysterical, now.
In retrospect, yeah.
You realize it's one of those things while you were doing it, I will be telling this story in 20, 30 years. I will tell this story forever. Like, did you know, as it was happening, this is going to be a memory in my head forever?
Well, I have a good memory, so everything becomes a memory, and but it's interesting because after he died, a month later was his memorial service in LA at MGM Studios, and hosted by Whoopi Goldberg, and it was about 150 people there, and dancers and percussionists. And I walked I flew from here, Nashville, to, back to LA. And I walked in, and Lisa saw me, and she walked up to me and she said, I'm having friends tell stories, remembrances of Buddy, preferably something amusing, maybe 3-4 minutes long, something like that. And I'd like you to speak. And I said, you could have called me last week and, prepare something. But I said, okay, I'll think of something. And then I turned to her and I said, now, wait a second. You want me to get up on stage and tell a funny story in front of Whoopi Goldberg? And so she said, yeah. And okay. So I sat down, and I sat next to Jennifer Grey, who co-starred with Buddy in Dirty Dancing. She cried for 3 hours straight. I mean, she did not stop crying. But finally, it was my turn to get up, and I had a couple of different stories that I was thinking of telling, but somebody had mentioned his DeLorean. And so I got up and I told the story I just told you, because I said, speaking of his DeLorean, I have to, and so that was an interesting moment.
and really carry through the whole thing. I want to, you're staying with the show to do the quiz, but I have a couple more minutes with Stacy Widelitz to ask you some more questions before we bring Dave in. But we've been talking a lot, of course, about Patrick Swayze, but you at one point also worked with Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft, and I'm a little curious about any stories about them.
Well, I didn't work with Mel Brooks, but I did work with Anne Bancroft. And the two stories are tied together because I think it was the mid-'80s, ABC tried to revive the political satire show, That Was the Week That Was. So they did a one-off special to see what the ratings would be, to how it would take. And the co-hosts were David Frost, who was the original host from the 60s, and Anne Bancroft. I was writing music for the show and kind of music directing it also from the shooting standpoint. And the producers called me and they said, Anne's going to do a song, a spoof of the poem and song Trees about acid rain. And we want you to be right off camera playing piano for her. So you're going to have to rehearse with her at her house in, Brentwood.
Sure.
And yeah, I loved Anne. I mean, such a fan of her movies. And so I said, great, but also it's talking to the producers. So I said, so it's just going to be her on stage singing this song? And they said, yeah. And I said, what if there is a barbershop quartet that backs her up, but they're dressed as trees, so you don't know that they're really there at first, and then they lean in and start singing. The producers looked at me and said, that's a great idea. And so that's how it was done. And so I went to Anne Bancroft's and Mel Brooks' house to rehearse with her, and was the first thing that hit me was I was stunned. First off, she was unbelievably wonderful and gracious. And they had this dog, fairly big dog, and she's holding it back. And she said, don't mind the dog. And I looked at her and I said, where are you from? So she said, I'm from the Bronx. And I said, I didn't realize that she had such a strong New York accent. She said, do you want some coffee?
Coffee.
Yeah,
Coffee. Yeah.
So anyway, we rehearsed at her piano. It was, obviously beautiful home. But when we shot the show, at one point she was on stage, she's reading cue cards, and Reagan was president at the time. And she said, and President Ronald Reagan said, and voice comes on the intercom, and the audience is there. And the director says, and we got to back up. And so she said, why? What happened? And this voice yelled out from the audience, distinctly Mel Brooks, yelling, you said Reagan. Who says Reagan? It's Reagan. So that was hysterical. So cut to 3 years later, I'm up for the score of a movie, The Fly 2, and it's down to me and two other composers. And my agent called me and said, well, you're meeting with the executive producer tomorrow. It's Mel Brooks. And I said, wait a second, back up. I'm meeting with Mel Brooks tomorrow, who is one of my personal gods. And because of the producers, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, not to mention the 2,000-year-old Man albums, which I grew up with. And he said, yeah, but don't be excited. It's going to be like 10 minutes. He'll do the talking, all of this. So I go to Mel Brooks' office, and I'm in the ante room with the assistant, and he's got his door open and he's on the phone. And it was the funniest thing. He said, Stace, I'll be right with you. And my family calls me Stace. And I was like, wait a second, did he just talk to my mother or something? And so finally he said, come on in. And it was evident he was talking to his son, who was having back problems. I could kind of glean that. So the first thing I did when I sat down, I think I really disarmed him. I said, what's going on with your son's back? And he said, oh, God. And he goes into this thing. And so then he's looking at me. He says, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Long Island, but my whole family's from Brooklyn. And he said, where? And I said, Brownsville. And he said, that's where I'm from. And so I said, yeah, I'd heard that. My father was on Pitkin Avenue. My mother was on Amboy Street, And so all of a sudden, it's family.
Right. You didn't get the gig though. You
No.
didn't do fly test. So you
No.
told us.
But-
You knew him. Yeah.
But I got to sit and talk with Mel Brooks for an hour and a half.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's
And-
yeah.
And even talk about some of his movies like A Scene in High Anxiety. And to me, I call it my greatest rejection ever. And my theory also in the entertainment industry is when the quality of your rejections are getting better, it means you're moving up the ladder
Wow.
because being rejected by higher and higher people. So
I always wanted to be rejected by Grace Kelly. I figure,
Yeah.
princess, why not? Thank you very much. Now, by the way, one moment, you said that Mel Brooks was talking about his son's back trouble. When you said, I'm assuming you're talking about Rob Reiner.
No,
I'm thinking of the wrong. My brain went in the wrong direction there. Because unfortunately, I'm looking at the clock here. And I must go, although Dave, who is the producer, the host of this program, he's coming right back, in a moment to stay with you, Stacy Widelitz, and with our guests who do the weekly Today, Yesterday History quiz. Are you ready for that? Do you love quiz and trivia and things like this?
Yeah, I guess I'm ready. Yeah.
As ready as you will ever be. Let me just, I'm checking Dave's messages, and yes, perfect. All right, here we go. So, hang tight or loose, however you prefer hanging, and Dave will be with us in literally a moment or so. But meanwhile, I have to play my theme music, which is a little different from electronic, movie music. It sounds just a little bit more like this. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hi, it's me, it's Dave. Always have a transition.
Such an uncanny resemblance.
Well, not even a strand. No, we lost our comeback where I was just about to let in our guest. And I'm going to now have to tell her to come back.
Give me the phone, I'll text.
Yeah, I'm doing it right this second. I'm sorry. So here's the did it sound? Yeah, there it goes. Here's the deal. Every week we do a segment on Dave's Gone By. By the way, that's the name of this program. It's a little bit after 11 o'clock Eastern Time here she comes, in the Daverhood, where we do our Today, Yesterday quiz. And this is a history quiz, and we're letting in one of our regular contestants. Here comes theater critic and director Leslie Hoban Blake. Hello, Leslie.
Hello.
Wait, Les, you there?
She's on mute.
Are you're mute? Or she needs to get to her microphone. Leslie, can you say something?
You're muted.
Oh, she knows that. She's looking for the unmute button.
I got it. Good morning.
She got it.
Hi.
Good morning.
Who's
Good morning, Leslie.
in front of all those gold records? Who are you?
Leslie doesn't watch the first part of the show, so let me explain.
I for the 150th time, I am not on Facebook.
I know, but
I'm sorry.
Our guest does not know that you've said this 149 times because he doesn't watch our show either. So let me explain.
I do watch it the next day on YouTube. I do watch it.
So we're talking, by the way, Leslie Hoban Blake, please welcome our guest in the Daverhood this week. His name is Stacy Widelitz. He is a film and television composer.
Oh, my goodness.
That big case you see behind him are platinum records for the soundtrack to Dirty Dancing, which he worked on a song with Patrick Swayze on. So because they were old friends and then they were buddies and stuff. So while we wait actually for our other contestant, David Sheward, I'm not sure what's up with him, but before he comes here, since I have a moment with you, and Rabbi Sol didn't get to ask this, I have Rabbi Sol's notes, amazingly enough. Your first real gig beyond the film strips that you were talking with him about, you did the theme for the Richard Simmons show? Oh, yes, tell me the story about that.
That was my first national credit. Wendy Fraser, whom I started seeing and then living with in New York, in Astoria, Queens, actually. Her father was a television producer. And I had met him. He was living in LA. And I played him some of the music that I was doing for this studio in Connecticut, because by that point we had expanded what we were doing in Connecticut. And he really liked what I was doing. And then, we found out that he was doing a new show. And Wendy and I called him and said, can we submit something on it? Because Wendy was also a very good writer as well as being a great singer. And he said, yes, but I'm not going to just give it to you, because he said, I have to like it. My wife has to like it because she's producing it with me. The syndicator has to like it, and the star has to like it. If you can satisfy all four of those, you've got it.
Sexually.
And we did.
No, but the star was Richard Simmons.
It
What
was
was he like back then? Come on, you got to share some kind of Richard Simmons-y story or something.
I got to know him very well, especially once Wendy and I moved to California. I still have a Cuisinart that he gave me for Hanukkah. So, he was, without a doubt, the funniest person to have dinner with on the face of the earth, because he was so uninhibited. He would get up, say, usually there was a group of 6 to 10 of us, and he'd see somebody eating a pile of French fries at another table, and he'd go over and start yelling at them and pointing and says, do you know what that's going to do to you? And all this. But he had this ability, like Don Rickles, to be insulting, but be endearing at the same time.
Well, yeah, endearing was his middle name. Everybody loved Richard Simmons.
David has that same. Dave Lefkowitz has that same quality.
No, he is. I'm horrible. And by the way, speaking of David's, let me introduce first, because you were just came in. David Sheward is the former president of the Drama Desk. He's also a theater critic and blogger. So, David Sheward, please meet and welcome composer Stacy Widelitz.
Hello.
Oh.
For a minute, where are you now, Stacy? By the way, are you in California? Where are you, or Nashville?
No,
yeah.
I moved to Nashville about 20 years ago, after years in LA. So I'm sitting at my piano in my living room in Oak Hill, Tennessee, which is just south of Nashville.
And were you writing country music for a bit, or?
Yes, and still occasionally dabble in that. But yeah, I actually have a country gold record, which I'm thrilled about. And, then got very involved in the arts community here.
Right. Yeah.
President of Nashville Opera, president of Leadership Music, president of Nashville Film Festival,
Wow.
President of Grammy-nominated Alias Chamber Ensemble. And so, and then I actually ran for office in 2016, and I served for 4 years as a commissioner in the city of Oak Hill.
Good. We got to have you back on the show to talk more with Rabbi Sol, because we have barely scratched the surface.
Stacy, real quick question. Is that real platinum on those things, or are they just faux platinum?
It would have been melted down by now if it was real platinum.
I was going to say, okay, I was just curious. How safe are you in a house full of that much platinum? But okay.
I have a very vicious dog, so who is asleep in bed right now.
Well,
I have a platinum ring and I know what it costs. That's why I'm asking.
Well, I'm so cheap. I use faux cardboard. I don't even bother. It's everything. This paper is not even real paper.
That's a great line from the producers, actually.
Which? Wearing a cardboard belt.
He pulls his belt. He says, "I'm wearing a cardboard belt."
Yes. Anyway, last thing before we start the quiz, and thank you guys all of you for joining us. But Stacy, do you have a website? Can people go to stacywidelitz.com or
yes,
what's the best place to follow? Yeah,
that's exactly it. STACYWIDELITZ.com. It's relatively new, and it's kind of a mixture of stories, then my photography, which is a whole other relatively new thing, my black and white photography. And then you can listen to music, but also I tell the story behind the writing of the song if I focus on a particular song. So it's kind of a fun site. And I've got the photos broken down into different locales like Havana, Berlin, London, places that I've been with my camera over the last 5.5 years.
So it's Stacy.
Stacy, I understand that you need the site for the photos, but it sounds like a podcast for the rest of the stuff. The stories would be fabulous to just listen to.
Yeah, it's possible. Or what I think I'm moving toward is also a book of some sort.
Oh, well, that's a
Great.
book with an inserted CD, right?
Oh, the audio book.
Yeah,
Also, you can underscore your own book with a
Wow.
creepy
That's right.
electronic underneath. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Country music.
And country music as well. Yes, and now that Rabbi Sol has introduced you to klezmer, just a little bit of that. Just
Well, no, I have. Oh, my mother was in Yiddish theater when she was a kid in Brooklyn, and she was actually like in the chorus backing Aaron Lebedev and people like that.
Oh,
And so she told me stories of Aaron Lebedev, how he would be out in front of the chorus and he turned to spit and he'd spit on the chorus's shoes. And, that he always walked out singing the highest note he possibly could. He did the opposite of what, you're supposed to build up. He'd walk out with the climax, then come back down, then build it back up. So
I'm
yeah,
just
so
intrigued by all the phlegm in that man because he's Jewish and he's singing. It's just the phlegm has to go somewhere. Why not on the chorus?
right.
Oh man, I gotta get you back on the show and soon because I just every time you open your mouth is like, oh yeah, my mom was in the English. What? She, every single thing is like Anne Bancroft. Okay, but it's not fair to of course Leslie and to David who are here.
I'm delighted to listen. I'm fine. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I know, me too. But it's already like it's 10 after 11, and our show is a finite period of time. So let me tell you that the rules of today, yesterday. It's our weekly quiz. It's pretty simple rules. So here's the deal: you'll be answering questions, all of you. A question goes to each of you. It's worth 2 points. If you get the question right, you get the 2 points. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty. But one of the other two contestants gets to try and steal that question and get the 2 points. But before we do anything like that, one of the things, I do have my roll a die up, so I'm going to ask our guest, Stacy Widelitz, can you pick, please, a number between 1 and 6?
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, there's no, oh yes, tell me.
Okay.
Oh, David has to guess.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if this is like a magic show. 5.
So, Stacy does the number 5. Leslie, again, lady, I know the whole world is changing in terms of sexist and sexist.
whatever.
Whatever.
I'm in the middle, which is a great place to be. Anyway,
Oh.
David Sheward, these are for you. Remember we talked about the rubber duckies?
Oh,
This is part of my massive collection, just so you know.
oh,
Everyone,
the
duck.
number 2, please. The number 2, 1, 2 duckies. I can go on Sesame Street now.
So-
1, 2 duckies.
Stacy has 5
Right.
and Leslie has 2. So I will pick 3.
David Sheward having 3. All I'm going to do now is roll a
And
common...
Leslie, is that a ghost duck? What's up?
Yeah, well, what's up with that completely white duck, Leslie? Is it albino or so? What's going on?
No, he's
Alopecia?
gray. He's not white. And
Oh.
it says, I am very busy on him. He is my mantra. I am very busy, it says on his little front.
Well,
Actually, it's a her, but that's okay.
oh, okay. Well, I guess she's very busy on the web. Okay, a little duck. Okay, I'm rolling the die, and it comes up. Look at this, beginner's luck. So, Stacy Widelitz, excuse me, you came up, you chose 5. The die came up number 5. That means you get to choose whether to go first, second, or third. Your choice.
I'll go second.
Oh, okay, second. And so I'm going to roll the die one more time, and it comes up a number 3, which is David's number. David, do you want to be second or third?
Stacy wants to be second.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, first to third. Forgive me, first to third.
First.
First, David Sheward, and then
What
Leslie.
else? Right, okay.
Would you like to be third, Leslie? I think you would.
Do
So,
I have a no, I'm gonna leave now. Thank you. It was
Okay,
lovely
great.
meeting all of you guys. I'm gonna go have a sandwich.
so here's the deal. Every single one of these, there's 9 questions and 1 tiebreaker, but we end up doing all 10 questions anyway. As I say, each is worth 2 points, and every single one of these questions has to do with something in world history that happened on this date. So all of these happened on April 10th in some year, sometime. So
And
we,
And they all have the word popcorn in them at some point.
Yes,
they,
at some
they might have a popcorn reference in them. See, Stacy, if you've been watching.
These are the inside jokes, Stacy. Come back, you'll get the hang of it.
Okay.
So we begin, though, with David Sheward, who gets to go first. And the first question goes back to 1816.
Mhm.
Oh, and well, you're a teacher. You'll probably get this. Quote,
Okay.
in Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, began a poem that the author recited to his friend Lord Byron today. Byron told him, quote, you should publish that. Who was Byron talking to?
I think it's Tennyson.
No.
Wow.
Okay, so Stacy, it may be correct. It may not be correct, but
Oh,
Don't give it away.
final answer yet.
Competition.
Don't give it away.
We have chances to come in and steal, so you don't want to do that.
you know, I
You
have
didn't
read the poem.
explain all the rules to him.
I
I'd
did
like
read
to
this.
feel that-
I did read the poem in high school, and I don't remember. I think it's Tennyson, so I'll just say Tennyson. And Stacy says no. So
Well, thank you for playing by the rules, David Sheward. It is anyone for Tennyson? No, it is not anyone for Tennyson. So wait, Stacy, hold on, Stacy. I know you seem like you can steal, but I get to roll a
Oh,
die
pick me?
to decide who gets the chance to steal. So I'm rolling, and we come up with a number 6, which is actually closer to Stacy Widelitz. So you, Stacy, get the first chance to steal this question. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, began a poem by this author who recited it to his friend Lord Byron today. And Byron said, hey, you should publish that. Whom was Byron talking to?
Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
And is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, you are now my colleague because Samuel Taylor Coleridge is the correct answer. Well, that you just knew it right off. Well done.
congratulations.
And I will tell this to you, and I tell this to all the first-time guests playing the today-yesterday quiz. The fact that you even have 2 points in this quiz is wonderful. Sometimes people come on here, they get a big old goose egg, they get everything wrong. So just getting on the board is a pretty great accomplishment. So
We
congratulations.
did that already, but okay, we'll do
All
it
right,
again.
we'll do it again.
I do a.
Oh, yes!
That
So
is
please
that
come
little
back every
xylophone
week and do
thing.
that for us. Oh,
Getting
we
a
have to pay
theme!
royalties?
Much better
Wait,
than
do we
that
have to pay royalties if you do that?
xylophone thing.
Yeah, I can't afford him, but
My people will contact your people. So
you are so welcome to come up with a theme for like this game. I would love that. That'd be
Yeah,
amazing.
for Bupkis, right? For
Yeah, but
Bupkis.
for what I can pay for this program. But speaking of payment, you are paid 2 points, Stacy Widelitz, because you are now in the lead. But we now get to our second contestant, who is you. So here's the deal: if you get the second question directly, that's the order we're going. You can build on your lead if you get this question right, Stacy. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
The year 1841. Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. He found in a newspaper today, which he edited with the help of Henry J. Raymond, who later co-founded the New York Times. But what was the name of Mr. Greeley's paper?
Huh. It was in New York. Was it the Herald Tribune?
I'm going to ask. One of the things that we do, sort of like NPR, is ask, "Is that your final
No, Jeopardy.
answer?" Or well, yeah. So, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Hark, the Herald Tribune sings. That is absolutely the correct answer. Well done. It actually started as the New York Tribune, and then they added Herald about a year or two later. But well done. Oh my God.
Excellent.
Stacy Widelitz running away with the today-yesterday game, but Leslie hasn't even gone yet. And this question goes to you, Leslie Hoban Blake.
Right.
The year 1858. And this is a multiple choice. After the first one cracked, Big Ben is recast for the Palace of Westminster. Which of these is not true about the bell and its clock? Is it A, the base reads, quote, "O Lord, keep safe our Queen Victoria" in Latin. B, a year after the recasting, the bell cracked again. C, tourists can visit the clock, but only residents of the United Kingdom can tour inside it. Or D, When Charlie Chaplin died, the bell went silent during his funeral.
Huh. Wow. David loves to make up these questions. He gets
These are
really,
how I
gets
spend
into
my
that.
week.
Okay.
And I can
All
read the whole thing again if you want. Yeah.
Wait. All right. So I'm going to do some thinking out loud. Was Victoria queen in 1858? I know she was queen for many, many years. And she was queen in 1898, I think. That would be 40 years. I'm not sure. So I'm going to put that one on the side shelf. The one that cracked was the Liberty Bell, I believe, after it was recast. So I don't think that's it. And the other two just don't make any sense to me. Say those other two again.
And remember, the question is, so Big Ben on this date is recast for the Palace of Westminster. Which of these is not true about the bell and its clock? A, the base reads, "O Lord, keep safe our Queen Victoria" in Latin. B, a year after the recasting, the bell cracked again. C, tourists can visit the clock, but only residents of the United Kingdom can tour inside it. Or D, when Charlie Chaplin died, the bell went silent during his funeral.
Charlie Chaplin hated the British, so that's really very interesting. For his David Copperfield childhood. Let's say Charlie Chaplin. I really don't know the answer. Let's say Charlie Chaplin.
And is that your final answer?
Ah oui, c'est la dernière. Wait, what?
Oh,
I can't hear a word you're saying. What?
That's because
silent.
I'm being silent.
Oh, you're being silent. You know.
May I ask? Because it's possible that all of those were the correct answer.
Well, each of these actually was true, except that one. And what happened was it wasn't Charlie Chaplin. They did it for Winston Churchill. So they silenced the bell at Winston Churchill's funeral. But every single other one of those, the bell did crack again a year after they fixed it. Right. And you have to be a British citizen to go into the bell.
So did I get the point or I didn't get the point? Yeah, I'm sorry. What?
Did.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I wasn't sure with all the stuff going around that I didn't hear that part.
With all the falderall, yes. Well,
okay, yes. With all the silence, I couldn't figure it out. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Leslie,
I'm lip reading now.
You are now in second place because you have. So here's it's Stacy in the lead with 4 points. Leslie with 2 points, and David yet to get on the board. But David, you begin round two with first question. So here we go. Lots of time for you to come on back. And by the way, David is like the guy get beat. He's sort of like the big champion. Well, we'll see.
Oh, sure, yeah. He's being modest. Look at that.
Go ahead.
Here's the deal, and it's a multiple choice also.
Okay.
1866 was the year. Incorporated today by Henry Bergh was the ASPCA, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Which of these is not true about Mr. Bergh? A, he also helped found a society for prevention of cruelty to children. B, he arrested a sea captain for being cruel to turtles. C, he was an acclaimed playwright at one point with 3 hit shows in London. Or D, President Lincoln appointed him as a diplomat to Russia.
Oh, any one of those could be true. Because I've never heard of this guy. And the playwright one strikes me as kind of fishy. Because I think I would, but from that era, but maybe later. I mean, Albert Bergh, is that the name?
Henry Bergh.
Henry Bergh.
Also Bergh, founded ASPCA.
What is the H silent?
BH.
Is the H silent?
Well, I'm not saying Bergh. It's Bergh.
B-E-R-G-H? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I don't know. My instincts are sort of leaning me towards the playwright thing because I've never heard of him. And but it's possible, Broadway was not really, but it could have been maybe later or earlier. But and at that time, a hit of if you run 100 performances or 2 weeks, that was considered a hit. So it's what are the first two?
I'll read all the. Which of these is not true about Henry Burke? Is it A, he also helped found the Society for Preventing Cruelty to Children? B,
Right.
he arrested a sea captain for being cruel to turtles?
Uh-huh.
C, he was an acclaimed playwright at one point with 3 hit shows in London? Or D,
Oh, in London.
London. D, President Lincoln appointed him as a diplomat to Russia.
Well, he probably was appointed to a diplomat to Austria instead of Russia, or something like that. Or the sea captain was cruel to fish instead of turtles, or something. So since it was in London, it's entirely possible. So maybe he was. It could be anything. This is one of those things where it's just a wild guess. I'll say B, the sea turtles.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, sure.
Well, David Sheward, it's nice that you came out of your shell, but I'm afraid the turtles is not the correct answer. He actually did a citizen's arrest of a sea captain for being cruel to turtles, essentially.
Okay.
So
right.
This is a stealable question. We're going to roll the die, and we're going to see who gets to try and answer it. Here we go. We have the number 3 come up. Somebody has directly a number 3. I know it's David, but Leslie is closer to it. So.
Oh, I thought it was okay. I thought it was Stacy. All right.
Yeah, no, Stacy has the number 5. You have the number 2, so 2 is close
It's enough I can remember my number. That's why I stay with the same number. So these are my choices. Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. The sea turtles are out. The next one is playwright, and the last one is ambassador. Right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say the playwright.
And that is your final answer?
Hesitantly, yes.
Oh, Leslie Blake, you are such a drama queen. That is the correct answer.
Oh.
Well done, Leslie. Here's the deal. He really was a playwright, but he was a bad one, and he had a couple of flops, including his plays A Decided Scamp and Peculiar People. So he did not have hits in London. He did write plays early in life, and they
were they done in London or in
England? So
okay.
So was he British or was he American?
I don't remember. I guess he was British. Weird.
Because I thought the ASPCA came from the Royal Society, and I thought the Brits started it, and it was the Royal Society for the Prevention of. So he must have been American. If he founded the American Society
for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, but why would he do all these things?
If he was appointed ambassador, then
that's right. But no, the Brits appoint ambassadors also.
No, but I mean he was appointed by Lincoln.
Oh, thank you. I missed that part. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Tsarist Russia.
You're good, Stacy. You're really on top of all that. Wow.
But he spent some time in Europe, which is why he was writing plays in England, and
he must have seen the Royal Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and brought it back. And I guess.
Maybe.
Anyway, the most important thing about this is not cruelty to animals. Is that you got 2 points, Leslie Hoban.
Yes, right. Yay, me. Screw the animals. Wow, I got 4 points.
Yeah, you're tied for second, or tied for first, really. You're both of you are tied for first and second, Stacy and Leslie.
David Sheward, did you not have your coffee this morning?
I got the weird questions.
Yeah, he got one of them. A little weird.
And I didn't study up on my English literature.
There you go. So,
who was the English literature? We haven't had an English literature question.
Coleridge.
Oh, Coleridge. I'm sorry, but that's not English either. That's British. So go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have Samuel Taylor Cholera. I don't know what that means.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that one.
Please.
We're all going to pretend. None of us heard it. None of us heard it at all.
All right, here we go. We're up to our next question in our second round, and this question will go directly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to Stacy. So, Stacy, you can build on your tie and take the lead. If you get this question, we go to 1896, April 10th, 1896. Crown Prince Constantine and Prince George of Greece joined their fellow countryman Spiridon Lewis to help him finish doing what?
Repeat the question.
I will. Okay, the year is 1896. On this date, Crown Prince Constantine and Prince George of Greece joined their fellow countryman Spiridon Lewis to help him finish doing what?
Finish doing what? Was it the restoration of the Parthenon?
Ooh.
I can't tell you until I'm sure that's your final answer.
That's my final answer.
Well, I'm afraid I want no part of that. That is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. So we have a steal opportunity from our two other panelists. Let me get back to my, how do I get back to my roll die? Where is it? Oh, give me a moment. There's just so many things open at the same time. Here it is. I'm going to roll the magical die. And we have a 1, which is closer to Leslie. So Leslie, you have a shot of stealing this question on this date in 1896. Crown Prince Constantine and Prince George of Greece joined their fellow countryman Spiridon Lewis, and it might be Louis, but I think it's Lewis, to help him finish doing what?
I don't have the foggiest idea. This one you don't give us a multiple choice on?
I would, I couldn't, because if I had it, as you guess it.
Give him a coffee.
Oh,
Yeah, didn't you have
Okay, all right. Give me a second. I want here. I keep thinking it's the partition of Greece and Cyprus, but I don't know that it went back that far. Spiridon Lewis, the Greek president. I don't know. Prince Philip wasn't born yet. I have no idea.
You can guess.
I know, but I'm thinking Greece and nothing's coming except, John Travolta. Nothing is
It's a
coming.
word. It's a word. Have you heard? Yeah.
I know, I said John Travolta, but that isn't going to work. I'm well and truly tapped. I'm going to say to finish the partition of Cyprus and Greece. I don't know.
Well, it wasn't Parth, and it wasn't part either. So no Leslie Hoban Blake. So David Sheward, do you want to take a stab at answering this question?
Yes, I think it is carrying the Olympic torch to light it for the first Olympics.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I'm going to consult with the judges on this one. You win. You get at least 1 point.
Oh, gee.
It wasn't because yes, you were absolutely right. It was the first modern day Olympics, and yes, he was a runner. But what they did was they helped him run the last lap. They kind of joined him in the last bit of it. So I can't really give you it wasn't the whole torch thing. He was the first Olympic marathon runner winner of the modern day Greek.
And all of Greece got up and ran with him? What? Who ran with him?
The Crown Prince and the Prince George of Greece.
They ran with him. Oh my goodness! I never heard this story.
In the arena, they were the ones who ran. So were they helping him carry the torch?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he was carrying a torch. Would you run 25 miles carrying a torch?
No, you don't carry the torch is brought in at the beginning, and they have a thing, and that's not. But still, that's amazing that you knew anything about that. I knew nothing.
Well, I know that the first Olympics was in 1896.
I did not know that.
So I can totally give you. I'm comfortable giving him 1 point. I think that's fair. I think that's very, very fair.
Do you have to ask the other participants to use another PART word? That was a joke, so I could get my pun in. Thank you.
Oh, what was your pun? What was the pun?
We had Parthenon, we had partition, and I said you have to ask the other participants. It was a very subtle joke. Nobody got it, David. It was very subtle.
And you know what the response to that is? Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I guess you're coming.
I watched one of those, thanks to you. I watched one this week.
Oh, which one?
And he never said, "Oh, Mr. Peabody." No, it's the later one. It's from 2017. I couldn't find the early one online.
27. They were
I'm
making
sure
new
it's
ones.
there. I just couldn't
The
find
movie?
it.
There's a movie.
No,
There's
they redid it in 2017. It wasn't the movie.
How was
It
it?
was a series.
there was
2017.
a series on Netflix. Yes.
How was it? I would love to see that. Was it good?
It was not good. It was nowhere near what the original was.
It
Nothing
was like imagine Mr. Peabody and Sherman hosting a talk show.
basically.
I can enjoy that. By the way,
Yeah.
Stacy, this is totally we're talking about Rocking Bullwinkle show where we get a line that David usually says when I make a really bad pun. Where it, "Oh, Mr. Peabody," and so that just evolves into what this is.
That's what Sherman said when Mr. Peabody would give a really bad pun at the end of their episodes.
So there. Anyway, we are going to conclude the second
Don't get
round.
him started on spam. Do not get him started on spam.
Go on. Let's just keep it moving.
Keeping it.
We have time.
Mention. There we go.
As
Oh
Teresa
my God! Look at that. Oh.
I have got the ready.
Said to Jack Benny on that episode of Laugh-In, keep it moving, keep it moving.
All right, thank you, David. Okay, we're here, we're doing it, and we have a question though.
I'm thinking.
Yes, for Leslie. Leslie, you get this next question, and if you get it right, you can go into the lead. So this is pretty neat. Here we go. I know this makes your week. Here's the question: April 10th, 1947. So we moved quite.
That was a bit of a leap. Nothing happened between 1898 and 1947.
Nothing at
wow.
all. The world was wiped out by a plague and slowly came back. And by 1947,
Okay, go ahead.
Citing gambling, disrespect, and other moral failings, baseball commissioner Happy Chandler suspends this manager, nicknamed the Lip, on the first day of the season. Name this baseball Hall of Famer who rarely finished last.
Even I know this. Leo DeRocher.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Leo and Mio. Oh, Leo, yes. Speaking of the producers, well done. Leslie Hoban Blake. It was Leo the Lip DeRocher who was.
My grandfather was a Giants fan. I believe DeRocher was either the Dodgers or the Giants. I don't remember which.
Yeah. And he, even though he was suspended for a full year, he still finished his career with more than 2,000 victories.
Absolutely.
Well, see, I didn't put any sports questions in, and then I put one in, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have sports questions as a rule because none of us know sports really.
Yeah. But Leslie, you know enough to have 6 points.
God bless my grandfather. That's all I can say.
All right. Now we begin our round 3, our final round of our Today Yesterday quiz with a question that goes right to David Sheward. David, you're still in the game. You have a point. You can get more. 1953 was the year.
Mm-hmm.
Released today in New York is the first full-length color film in 3D. Among the cast are a young Charles Bronson and a pre-Addams Family Carolyn Jones as murder victim Kathy Gray. Name that film.
The first 3D...
Full-length 3D movie.
Full color picture. And Carolyn Jones is a murder victim.
Mm-hmm.
And Charles Bronson is in it.
Yeah, but he wasn't, a young Charles Bronson.
All right. God, I don't know. That's really obscure. Carolyn Jones. Oh, I should know this, but I don't. And Leslie is acting like she does, or
no, I'm acting like you should know this. That's what I'm acting like.
I should know this.
that was not my.
That's pretty obscure. It's not the title that comes into my head is "Murder My Sweet," but that's not it. Oh God. Let's All Murder Carolyn Jones.
I saw that movie. It wasn't bad. Yeah.
God. I'll go back to what I was going to say. Murder My Sweet.
Murder Your Sweet what? No, I just, there we go.
Sweet coffee. That's my final answer.
Well, I'm afraid sweet has turned sour for you, David Sheward. That is not the question. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not the answer. So we have a chance for our panelists, our other panelists, to try and steal. We go to the number 4, and 4 is right. Let's see, it's actually closer to Stacy. So Stacy, do you want to try stealing this question? Released in 1953 on this date, the first full-length color film in 3D. Among the cast are a young unknown Charles Bronson and a pre-Addams Family Carolyn Jones as murder victim Kathy Gray. Name that film.
I know film trivia, but this one is beyond me. Murder victim. No, I actually have no idea.
You want to take yeah, like Bambi or something, or just have a...
Well, it's a pack of 50-foot woman. I know that.
Let's All Murder Carolyn Jones.
Yeah, well, Let's All Murder Carolyn Jones, which has such a nice ring to it.
Unless
No.
you're Carolyn Jones.
I don't have the foggiest on that.
So you're gonna do a pass?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Oh, can I? No, I won't say because it might go to
No,
Leslie.
don't, because I have.
Well, Leslie has a chance to still
Okay,
steal.
go ahead.
So Leslie, released today, 1953, first full-length color film.
Yeah, okay, you don't have to go through it. I know what it is.
Okay, go, Leslie.
It's House of Wax. It's House of Wax. It was a remake of an earlier movie.
Right.
Charles
Oh,
Bronson was in it under his real name, Charles Bronkowski, I think.
Oh,
All of those facts are on TCM. If you ever watch Turner Classic Movies, that's where I learned it. I
oh,
didn't know it.
So it wasn't that obscure. Yeah, it's
No, I was so surprised. I thought,
way
oh, they'll
you
get that in
phrased
a heartbeat.
the way you
Yes.
phrased
As
it.
soon as you said it,
I didn't want to mention Vincent Price because that would have given it away.
Of course, that
Yeah.
would have. Would you have
Yeah.
known if he said Vincent Price?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. I would have known it also.
So yeah, we try and keep them a little more difficult.
Charles
because-
Bronson was like the Igor character. He was the
Very
sidekick to Vincent Price.
You know,
Okay.
he also had a small role in the movie Pat and Mike.
Yes.
With Katharine Hepburn and
Right. I remember that.
I think he was Charles Bronson by then. I think he had already changed.
No,
He still hadn't changed his
he
name?
still was using his original name.
How about
Okay.
But
All right.
later on, he had a death wish. But you know, comedy. All right, so we are still in our third round of our Today Yesterday quiz with
All right.
Leslie. Really starting
I
to.
thought you'd walk away with that one, David. I thought you'd mop up the floor with that
Well,
one.
it was the way he phrased it. You were very tricky. Very good.
Well, thank you. I guess because I know what I'm dealing with. I know that Leslie and David are two real serious movie and theater buffs. So if I'm going to come up with a question like that, I've got to be really threading the needle and give it away. You know.
And it looks like Stacy is too.
Yeah, which is and music, obviously. So the next question actually goes directly to Stacy, who still has 4 points to Leslie's 8 and David's 1.
8?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even know I had 8. Wow.
Yeah. So
I
it
drew.
looks like you're going to win, but we'll see.
That's what you said last night.
Oh. Oh.
That's why you promised to throw the game today, David. I know.
Oh, sure. Have another. We're not. What difference does it make?
Now you might like this question, Stacy, and I don't know if our other sharks will snap this one up, but this goes directly to you first. It is a multiple choice. Okay, the year 1957, released today, is the film version of the teleplay 12 Angry Men, the first feature film directed by Sidney Lumet. He would adapt several theatrical plays for the big screen, including all but one of these. Is it A, Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge, B, Anton Chekhov's The Seagull, C, Peter Schaffer's Equus, or D, Kurt Vonnegut's Happy Birthday, Wanda June?
So I'm choosing the one that he did not do.
Correct. Which of these was not directed by Sidney Lumet?
I'll say Happy Birthday, Wanda June.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I guess you went with your Vanna gut, because that is the correct answer. Well done. All the other three were made into movies by Lumet, and the last one was made into a movie by Mark Robson in
I have to
1921.
say something. I interviewed Lumet for The Hollywood Reporter way at the end, toward the end of his life. And the thing that he regretted the most making into a film was The Wiz. He said he was the worst possible choice to do it They
Because he was
wanted him,
white?
they offered him a buttload of money, and he did it, and he said it was the biggest mistake of his life to do that film. Actually, when you go back and look at it now from the perspective of today, it ain't that bad. You know, I've seen worse, but
Well, what is bad about? I don't remember seeing the movie. I remember
he
seeing.
just
parts of
felt that
it.
he did not have it in him
Yeah.
to do a completely black musical, much less a musical by what completely black. All of it was not in his wheelhouse.
I thought the biggest issue was Diana Ross playing a teenager.
Yeah.
That's another story. That's an entirely different
And the
story.
fact that
That's
he
the
did-
only way they got any money for the damn thing. You know that.
And the fact that he
was
did
a
not do,
you know,
he was not a musical director.
Mm-mm.
Right. Well, I mean, Norman Jewison did okay with Fiddler on the Roof, and I won't consider him really a music.
And he's not even Jewish. And he's not even Jewish.
I know with the name Jewison, he does Jesus Christ Superstar
I know.
and Fiddler on the Roof, and it's like, yeah,
I know.
I know,
Okay.
just wrong all the way
Well,
around.
very good.
Congratulations on knowing that one, by the
Very
way.
good.
Well done, Stacy. Now, this last question, boy, oh boy, you can really I think you already have, Leslie, but we can put the game away further by answering this final question of our third round. Are you ready, Leslie?
Sure.
The year was 1959. Born today in Massapequa, Long Island, is Brian Setzer, lead singer and guitarist for the band Stray Cats. Though their heyday was in the 1980s, the band keeps reuniting and releasing the occasional album. Which of these is not the title of a Stray Cats record? This is a multiple choice.
This is for Stacy a question, not for me a question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Which of these is not a fairly recent Stray Cats album? Is it?
Popcorn.
No.
Hey, Popcorn. Does it have the title Popcorn? It's the one that has popcorn in the title, right?
Is it A,
Popcorn. Go ahead.
Bumpity Bump, B, Gonna Ball, C, Choo Choo Hot Fish,
Ew.
or D, Rock Therapy? One of these is not a Stray Cat.
I beg you, just so we can laugh, say them all again.
I will. I absolutely will. Is it
And I'm to pick the one that isn't.
That is not a Stray Cats album.
How about cats eat popcorn and then vomit on your rug?
That's E. Is it?
No, that's their documentary, David. That's their documentary.
Oh God! Is it A, Bumpity Bump, B, Gonna Ball, C, Choo Choo Hot Fish, or D, Rock Therapy? Which of these is not a Stray Cats album?
You know I don't have the faintest idea,
I
right?
realize that. Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I listened to the Stray Cats. I remember him sitting on the fender of a car with that blonde hair. That's what I remember. I don't remember the name of the songs even. Okay.
Didn't they do
Just for the
Memory?
hell of it. Just for the hell of it. I'm gonna say Hot Fish because that was my married name, not Hot, but Fish.
Oh, go there. So is that going to be your answer? That was not the record. Choo Choo Hot Fish.
Sure.
Well, things did not go swimmingly for you, Leslie, on this question. That actually was a Stray Cats album title. And so,
The name Fish was never lucky for me. Never worked.
well, you're certainly not going to win a fin by playing. Oh, anyway. All right. Let's go. We have a number 3. 3 is David Sheward. David Sheward,
Okay.
would you like to steal this?
I'll try.
Yeah. There's no
I'll-
popcorn involved, but there's Bumpity Bump,
Bumpity Bump,
Gonna Ball,
Gonna
or
Ball,
Rock Therapy.
Rock Therapy. You know, I thought Choo Choo would be in it because he was a character on Top Cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ah.
Therefore, it makes sense that. But
If you see, he has the side door of cartoons. He knows everything else for movies and plays, and then in comes cartoons. Go ahead.
I'm stalling for time. So Bumpity Bump.
Gonna Ball or
Gonna
Rock
Ball
Therapy.
or Rock Therapy. I have no idea. Stacy, do you know this? I'm not asking for help. I just wonder if you know.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not
all
sure.
right.
I have theory, but I'm not sure.
All right.
I've never, you know, what's a weird thing is I'm in the music business. I can never remember song titles or the artists or the names of their records unless
right,
it's I listen to.
Gonna
you know,
Ball
really-
is probably it could be any one of them, and probably you found that title from another group, so it probably is a title of an album, probably just not this group. I'll go on a ball.
Is that your answer?
And that's what I said last night. Yes.
Oh! Well, that seemed like a well-rounded answer for Gonna Ball, but it is not the correct answer, David Sheward.
Okay.
So, Stacy,
Oh,
you
actually,
get...
Top Cat also had a character named Benny the Ball. So there you go.
Really?
I shouldn't forget that out.
So much for your cartoon connection.
Knowing,
Widelitz,
knowing how fun-loving the band is. Oh, here's a bit of nice trivia for you, by the way, about the band. The bass player, Lee Drucker, the whole band's from Long Island. And Lee Drucker, although that wasn't his stage name, his father, Stanley Drucker, was the principal clarinetist of the New York Philharmonic for 50 years.
Cool.
So, a very musical. And Stanley Drucker was friends with my classical piano teacher on Long Island, Avram Sternclaw. So that's how I know.
Was Stanley disappointed that Lee went into rock?
No, because he
Just curious.
made
a fortune, right? He made a buttload of money, right? Okay.
But back to the question, my choice is Rock Therapy.
You're going to say that is not an actual Stray
Yes.
Cat album title.
It's too normal.
Well, I guess I'm a gangsta, because I notice I pronounced it gangsta, because I bumped all of you off.
Oh.
The correct answer, the incorrect, it's bumpity bump. I made that up. There's no album by anybody by that name.
Wow, that's a good title.
Thank you very much. But
we should keep a list of all the titles that aren't, and if we ever form a rock group, those will be our albums.
I mean, excellent. And by the way, I want to give a little bit of trivia about the Stray Cats. That Choo Choo Hot Fish, which is one of the reasons I really wanted to do this question. It was named after a Chinese restaurant that was in their neighborhood. So they saw this restaurant like
Hot
Choo Choo Hot Fish. Yes.
Oh yeah, let's all eat there.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Joyce is reminding me of one of the greatest things of my entire life is years ago, I used to order Chinese food from a local place and they would deliver. And I would go on the menu, I'd call up and they would have these impenetrable Chinese accents. And one of the things that they had, it's a weird enough name for a dish to begin with, but it was called seafood dynamite. And you actually see some Chinese restaurants still serve this seafood dynamite. It's like marinated, like tuna and whatever. But when the woman would get on the phone and repeat the order back to me, she made it sound like seafood enema. And it was like, oh, you want seafood enema? And I would make her repeat it like 3 times just because it was so beautiful. And Joyce heard it. She would remember. It was like, oh, you want a big seafood enema? And then, yes, seafood enema. Yeah. And
But isn't that what it did when you ate it? I mean, isn't that what the outcome was?
It was delicious, actually, but dynamite is almost the same thing. What, Dave?
They took a flounder and stuck it where the sun don't shine.
That's right. Oh, I don't even want to. Anyway, the current status of the game, and by the way, the quote-unquote final status of the game is that Leslie wins with 8 points. Stacy comes in second with 6, and David, not a great week for you, David.
This has never happened, David.
Well, it's life. What are you gonna do?
And this is why we roll the die in the beginning, because we never know who's going to get what question.
He's so phlegmatic about it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I sulk for the whole week. He's okay. He goes on.
Okay.
Yeah, not like Dorothy Kilgallen, who would be very upset if she didn't guess the panel on What's My Line.
Right. Well, she take it out on her husband, Dick.
That's no apostrophe S there. Anyway,
no, his name was Dick.
I know. But now here's the deal, Stacy. Don't go away quite just yet. Do you have a pen and paper with you, by any chance, or nearby?
Yeah.
Fantastic, because even though the game is decided, we like to do the tiebreaker question anyway, just for funsies. So
because David went to the trouble of writing it, so we have to solve
I spent like
it.
10 minutes out of my life dealing with it. I'm going to force it on all of you. So what happens is instead of calling on you, you all get to hold up your answer at the same time. So we all get to see, if you got it right or not, just for fun. So you write out. I'll read the question twice. You'll write down the answer, and then when I give a 3, 2, 1, you show all of us right up to the camera what the answer is. You guys all ready?
Yes.
And Stacy, you got your stuff ready. Here we go. The year 1988, and yes, we have one more movie question for you. Winner, or is it loser, of the 8th Golden Raspberry Awards held today is this comedy featuring Bill Cosby as a former spy turned restaurant owner. Name that film.
Oh God.
I have no idea.
I'll hint. It's listing up there. People think of it as one of the worst films of all time.
Wow.
I'll give it another read. Released today in 1988. The winner, or no, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't released today. The Golden Raspberry Awards were held today for horrible movies. And the winner, or is it loser, of worst film is this comedy featuring Bill Cosby as a former spy turned restaurant owner. Name that film. Okay, I'll give you a moment or two more. Stacy's just looking.
No,
this one.
Drawing a blank. I thought Ishtar was named the worst film. So
yeah, Ishtar wasn't that terrible actually.
Year of 1988.
No, but
ever.
Ishtar has a couple of good moments. It was Elaine May.
I've met Elaine May, and she. I did not bring that up.
No,
I didn't meet her.
She's some of the worst
Kind of
movies I've ever seen.
not to bring that up.
Anyway,
Did you meet her when she was 86 after Waverly Gallery?
A little bit more recently.
Okay.
I'll have another little anecdote of making a faux pas about celebrities, but I'll wait till afterwards.
Don't forget, I want to hear it. Yeah. So let's get the question done. I'm gonna give a 5, 4, 3, well, a 3, 2, 1, and even if you have nothing, just hold up the paper. Just so. Here it is. One more time. The question.
Draw a picture of Richard Simmons.
You can draw a picture of Richard Simmons. That'd be great.
Yeah.
8th Golden Raspberry Award, big winner/loser is this comedy featuring Bill Cosby as a former spy turned restaurant owner. Name that film. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my gosh! Let's see. I see Ghost Dad. What was your, Stacy? I didn't see yours. Stacy,
mine is question marks. I have no idea.
The closest to any of this is David Sheward's, but it is not quite. You're on absolutely the right track, Leonard. Leonard. David, the name of the movie was Leonard Part 6.
I knew it was somebody's name, Part something. I remember that.
Leonard Part 6 was supposedly absolutely terrible film.
Did he make a movie called Ghost Dad, or was that a brain fart?
I think that was with Denzel Washington, wasn't it?
I'll tell you in a mo.
Yeah, that some black performer was a movie called Ghost Dads. I don't know if it was Cosby.
It was
okay.
Leslie, you're on a very right track. That was 1990 American fantasy comedy film starring Bill Cosby and directed by Sidney Poitier.
Oh
wow! But that was not
the only film of his I could think of that wasn't I Spy. You know.
Yeah.
It's supposedly pretty bad. Oh, maybe that won some raspberry.
But not the 1988 Raspberry. He was closer with his Otis or something.
Oh, the anecdote I was going to say about celebrity faux pas, when you meet a celebrity, what you don't do, is I was ushering for an off-Broadway show, and Muriel Hemingway was the manager of the theater, was escorting her to her seat or something, and he introduced her to us. And she had just the night before been on David Letterman cleaning fish. It was a joke. It was a joke that that Letterman said he would make the people in the audience come up. Here's some free fish, and this young lady is going to clean it for you. It was Mariel Hemingway, and so I said, "Oh, I saw you on David Letterman cleaning fish the other night," and she said, "I don't want to talk about it."
All right.
That was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah.
At least you didn't say something smells fishy in here.
Yeah, and I thought of that because the Hemingway thing was on this week, and she was his grandfather.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I like that very much. I really like that.
Well, what's a Hemingway? Oh, about 200
pound and a half.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our panelists. Well, first of all, let me thank most of all our very special guest in the Daverhood, someone that I definitely want to have back with more stories. His name is Stacy Widelitz. You can go to his website, Stacy with no E, Stacy Widelitz, WIDELITZ.com, to see the photographs that he's taken in various parts of the world, and as well as hear a lot of his music and the stories behind the music that he's done, the compositions that he's done, his friendship with the late Patrick Swayze, and I'm hoping a lot of other stories too. So, Stacy, how was your first inaugural visit to the Daverhood? Did you have a good time?
It was great. You know, I now have a craving for seafood dynamite. So,
Oh, it choo hotfish.
yeah, or,
Call
you
him
know,
up.
it's interesting. It brought up a Long Island memory. In Huntington, Long Island, when I was a kid, there was a magical hamburger place right in the town called Hamburger Choo Choo. If you sat at the counter and ordered the hamburger deluxe, it came to you on a flight train car.
How cute.
Circulating around. And when you're a little kid and your hamburger arrives on a toy train or an electric train, it is just the greatest experience in the world.
Yeah.
And
That's fabulous.
a Facebook page that's called Friends of Hamburger Choo Choo, and people posting their memories of that place.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And what's
I
amazing is,
only remember Huntington for going clam digging at the shore. That was my Huntington memory. Was
Bay,
clam digging.
and all that, but down, you know, in the town itself, that was where
Right.
hamburger,
oh,
right
I
on
love that.
Main Street.
I wish they would do that with like really high scale restaurants, like your filet mignon comes along, just grab
So
your
there's a Japanese chain that does that. All
Yeah,
the food
with
comes
sushi.
out.
Yeah, I've been to one of those.
It's
Yeah,
not on a train. It's just on a track that comes
a
around.
conveyor, kind of a conveyance. Yeah. Anyway, Stacy Widelitz and of course Leslie Hoban Blake. Remember that you can watch Leslie as part of the video podcast Critics Circle. Do you have a new one or one from a week ago?
We have a new one. Yes, we have a new one that just went up. We also have ourselves. We were both in the Dramatists Guild pop-up where we wrote and performed monologues. And I haven't performed since 1985. So it was a big thing for me to get. I've spoken in public, but I haven't performed, quote unquote. We have a new show up, and we have a new question up. We piggybacked off the New York Times on its recasting of the 75th anniversary of Follies, what it would be like in 25 years who should be in it. So we went right now. We would like to see revivals of particular shows, and we recast them. Please, if you have any ideas on recasting a revival, would you send it to us, and we'll put them up on the show next time.
I'm the Thurgood Marshall show with me. There you go. I think that would be perfect.
That's out of the box thinking for sure.
And David Sheward, who is a blogger for the David Desk. You can also read his theater stuff on Cultural Weekly and TheaterLife.com. What have you written about this week, man?
Well, I wrote about Blindness, the first off-Broadway show to open.
Oh, you did go see that, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you go see that?
I did.
He heard it anyway. Yeah.
Well, it was fascinating. Where you're in a very large, vast space in the Darrell Roth Theater, separated seats, and you're given headphones, and there's lighting, and the sound is amazing. Juliet Stevenson reads the story, which is based on Jorge Scaramaco's Nobel Prize-winning novel, in which he imagines an epidemic of blindness and what happens in society as a result of that. And it was fascinating, and I was glad to be back inside a theater.
Can I ask you, David, because I'm tempted to see it, but I don't like shocking, scary noises out of nowhere. Are there gunshots and scary moments?
It's not a pleasant experience. I don't think that there's anything, and there are points where Juliet Stevenson narrates some really nasty things happening to people.
Yeah. Well, I've done nasty things to people. That I can tolerate. It's just scary, sharp noises that I don't like. So, all right, okay.
Doesn't he go back to what Simon, what's-his-face, did with his one-man show where we all put on headphones and listen to him narrate this thing about going through the jungle? There's nothing original in it.
It was called The Incident?
Yeah, right. There's nothing original in the idea, but to pick something so down and so depressing at this particular time, to me, is just absolutely tone deaf.
Well,
as a return to the theater,
but it has a hopeful ending. I will say that.
Okay.
It has a hopeful ending, and the thing is, we can't just have flowers and lightness and Mamma Mia.
Why not? I want them.
No, you can have
cartoon. And I want Bugs
don't
Bunny and
want
cartoon birds
realism.
around my head.
I
That's
don't
what
want
I want.
realism. No, I don't want realism. I want magic.
I know. I played that part. I
do-
know all about that.
I
I
do
know about paper
misrepresent myself.
bags over light bulbs. I
Stacy,
know about
what?
that.
I'll tell you a quick story why I know that line. First, being a huge fan of the movie, but also when I was a kid, my mother did community theater on Long Island, and good level community theater. She was a pretty well-trained actress, although she never pursued it professionally. And when I was about 12, the company that she was in, which was Tobay Players, Town of Oyster Bay Players, did Streetcar, and my mother was cast as Stella.
Oh.
And because I was interested in theater and music and all this, to learn her part, she had me read all the other parts against her. So she could learn her lines. So I got to be Blanche, I got to be Stanley, Mitch at some point, and it developed my love for Tennessee Williams to the point where I have a rose tattoo on my arm.
Oh my gosh.
And
look at that.
Was that's why, you know, I don't want realism. It's the lanterns, the Chinese lanterns that hangs on the bulbs.
We just interviewed the woman at La Femme who celebrated his 110th birthday by doing a Zoom of Night of the Iguana starring Felicia Rashad, and Dylan McDermott with Austin Pendleton. And you know, not the best Zoom I've seen, but at least it was Night of the Iguana. It's interesting though, I did the same thing with my son when I was an actress. He read everything. He also appeared with me in 2 shows in Summerstock. He played the little boy in Name, you know.
My
Great.
mother directed 2 absurdist one-act plays, 2 or 3. One was
in Oyster Bay.
Yeah, but one was A Slight Ache, and
Harold Pinter.
Yeah, Harold Pinter with the Wasp and the Jam, and the other one was an Ionesco play.
Rhinoceros or the Chairs? It was either Rhinoceros or the Chairs.
Well,
no,
this is a full-length play.
Yeah, so one act it might be short.
He said, well, then it was Rhinoceros. He said UNESCO.
It could have been
So
the
anyway, but I was again about 13, so she had me stage manage the production.
Wow.
That was an
experience.
Okay, I have to try to top you. I was part of a group called the Riverside Shakespeare Company. Every Sunday we would go to somebody's house, have brunch, and read a play. And my son would read all the pages, all the messengers. He was, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old and a very good reader. And so anybody who was young and had 2 lines, he got to play all the parts. He said, in retrospect, he learned Shakespeare that way. He heard every single play over the space of a year. So that's my, you know.
That's great.
It's something that all actors should do. All actors should somehow perform in, even if it's only readings, all of Shakespeare's plays.
Yeah.
That's my final word. I hope your mom is alive and well.
No, she actually passed away this past January. She was almost 94, so she had a long life, and it was not unexpected. So, yeah, I mean, her thing was the, you know, love of theater, and kind of, you know, got that imbued in me, and you know, to the point where, like, in my senior year of high school, I co-wrote and co-directed the Senior Follies, and you know, stuff like this. That was fun. And my co-writer actually became a professional comedy writer. He loved the experience so much. Gary Apple. So
sure, I know Gary Apple.
Yeah, he had a play off Broadway recently.
Yes, yes, he did. And I interviewed him. That's how I knew it.
Yeah, it was called Christmas in
Hell
Hell.
yeah.
What was the play he had off Broadway recently?
I think it's called Christmas in Hell. Not too
You
long ago.
remember Christmas in Hell? It was at the West Side
At the
Theater.
Vortex?
I think
It was
that
at the
was.
West Side, I thought.
Did the Vortex Theater Company do it?
I can't remember offhand. I'd have to look it up.
I remember.
But got some very good
That
students.
title sounds familiar.
Yeah.
It was totally sacrilegious and rather funny, actually.
Yeah. Oh, he's
The
a
second
very.
act takes place in hell, and
Well,
was
It fits when in our senior year of high school, we had a new principal that was doing all these new things, and it was a young, energetic guy named Barry Gleim. And so when we wrote the Senior Follies, the first act followed the New Testament completely. And we cast Gleim as the Messiah.
Oh,
And at one point he delivers the Sermon on the Mount. My favorite line, what I wrote, was, "Blessed are the sophomores, for they shall inherit the school."
ah,
But Gary loved the experience so much that he ended up co-writing a pretty famous episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets a heart attack, or has a heart attack.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm also checking, by the way, it was the York Theater that apparently did Christmas in Hell.
oh,
The
okay.
York put it together, and they did it. But anyway, wow. I mean, it's just, I'm just going to sit back and let you guys talk for an hour, because it's been delightful. And I'm really serious also, though. Stacy, please do come back and visit us, and I think that would be wonderful. So, hey, everybody, all of you guys.
Did you get to mention where you can see David's work?
I think I did, but I'll mention it again.
Theater Life, Cultural Weekly, and the David Desk. And by the way, in the next month or so, soon, my editor tells me that the Cultural Weekly is going to become Cultural Daily. So that's good news.
Whoa! Is it going to be is it going to be like a broadsheet, or just or online, or what?
It's a website.
So you're going to have to quit your teaching job, huh?
No, I'm not the only person writing for it.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
Well, if they need more writers, I'm available, David. So just throw my name up there,
Okay.
Just say.
I, on the other hand, am not setting foot in a theater for the next year at least. So I'm not available to do anything that involves reviewing unless it's streaming. Nope, I can't see myself putting my butt on a seat that hasn't been absolutely sterilized.
Well, what about?
Did you ever see
that's why you're not.
That comes. What? Go ahead.
Never mind. I was going to make a joke about, that explains why you never accept my invitations to my house.
I thought you were going to say that's why I did. That's what I said last night. But it's interesting because they did a thing about what's in when you get that Stanley steamer thing to clean your couch and your floor and whatnot. They showed what's in the seat cushions of a couch in a hotel room, which gets far less traffic than the average theater seat. Let's face it. Far less traffic on a day-to-day basis, and the buckets of gunk that come out. If you give me a plastic, and she did that. Daryl put plastic seats in that, right? In your little pod, they were plastic seats because they can be cleaned, right?
Yeah.
There were no.
They were plastic seats. Yes.
The idea is glass, plastic, and whatnot. Even though it can be cleaned, you can put a one of those 99% Lysol solutions on, and it will kill germs. You cannot do that with a plush seat. I'm sorry, we're way off topic.
It's not plush, no.
I know.
Right.
But Leslie, you've been sitting on these horrible old theaters
and I've
forever.
been sick every year. Has anybody in this room had a cold in the last year? I haven't had a cold. This is I put on my air conditioner and I started to sniffle. It's a dust thing. I haven't had a cold. I haven't had the flu. I really haven't had the sniffles. As I say, this is just a seasonal thing because I haven't hugged anybody or kissed anybody, unfortunately, or sat on anybody's lap or any of that shit. And we're a huggy crowd. We meet in the theater and we hug.
Well, I know as soon as I go back, Leslie, as soon as I go back to the theater, my gonorrhea is going to reappear. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah, I haven't been with Max
Joyce,
in like a
put
year.
him on a leash. Just put him on a leash, Joyce.
Anyway, guys, it has been wonderful. And Stacy, you've been such a great sport, by the way.
Thank you.
But thank you so much. I hope you had the great time that you said you did. You guys, I hope I'll see you next week to play the Today-Yesterday game again. It just remains for me to thank you, and not to be rude, but what I've got to do is remove each of you from the thing. But thank you all so much for being with us in the Daverhood. Okay, that's one. And that's two. And see you guys next week.
Bye.
All right.
Leslie won this week.
Leslie running away with the game. Well done. So good for her. Leslie, the champion of the Today-Yesterday quiz on today's edition of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. Oh boy. Oh, what fun we're having. So we're already overtime. It's 12:15. We're supposed to end by noon. Good luck with that. But we do have a couple of short segments still to do, including our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and just going to mention some of the friends of the Daverhood. But before then, and let's see if I can properly hopefully share my screen so I can share with you, since it is Saturday, it's Shabbos. Rabbi Sol Solomon was here with us earlier interviewing Stacy Widelitz. But Rabbi Sol was a very, let's see if I can find it, a busy fella taping earlier in the week a sermon, one of his many lectures. We call them Rabbinical Reflections because he reflects on the world at large in his own Solomonic way. And this time he's going to be talking about the pandemic and COVID and this idea that maybe, just maybe soon, we can return to some level of normalcy. But when is that going to be? So here's the deal. I'm going to share my screen if it will allow me to, and I'm going to put it on my desktop. All right, please let this happen. I'm going to share. Okay, you're currently seeing this. Now you're going to see this. Come on. All right, I'm going to make that large. And the next voice you hear will be extremely Jewish. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Rabbi Sol Solomon.
Hello, it's me, Rabbi Sol, with Rabbinical Reflections for you all. I come from Temple Sons of Bitches here in Great Neck, New York. Shut up and pay attention to me. Shalom, damn it. This is Rabbi Sol Solomon with a Rabbinical Reflection for April 10th, 2021. What do we want? Normalcy. When do we want it? Soon. Please. In case you didn't know, since March 2020, America has been in various modes of lockdown, quarantine, and stasis, owing to the coronavirus pandemic. This was a sensibly safe response to a disease that swept through the world, killing hundreds of thousands of people and putting millions of others in grave danger and in danger of the grave. Each time we thought we'd seen the worst of it, another wave would come along and submerge us in fear. It's like listening to an Oasis album. Every time a 6-minute anthem finally ends, you're like, ooh, silence, beautiful, quiet, and then another fucking Oasis song starts. Life has been like that for the past 13 months. We get our hopes up that the CDC and the NIH and the CIA have a handle on the virus equivalent of the Gallagher brothers, and then, boom, there's a holiday, families gather, people travel, and the numbers shoot back up. You could understand Dr. Fauci warning, hold out a little bit longer. You don't want to see your mother-in-law anyway, so stay home. And you could sympathize with vulnerable people or those too young to qualify for the shot, saying, sorry, but wearing a mask is not fascism. Put it on, wash your hands, and have fun storming the Capitol. But what a magnificent century we are in. We can encounter a brand new disease, get our drug companies working on it, and half a year later already we have a remedy ready to launch. Thanks to President Trump, the medicine rolled out at warp speed, and thanks to President Biden, it's being distributed as systematically as dollar bills at a Pabrengen. As of this ranting, 100 million Americans have received at least one dose of the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J vaccine. Nearly 20% of the U.S. population, including myself and my dear wife, Miriam Libby, and 11 of our 21 and a half children, is fully vaxxed. So why am I vexed? The answer stems back to the most basic human idea of fairness. Patience followed by reward. Endurance rewarded with triumph. Eat your broccoli, then you can have ice cream. Unless you had steak with the broccoli, in which case you'd be mixing milkshake with fleischig, so you have to eat the broccoli and wait 6 hours for the ice cream. But don't complain, because some people go to bed hungry, and you got to eat steak. So shut up, Nick Fetch. But back to my point. We are taught that if we deny ourselves for the greater good, we'll get some of that great good. Save your pennies for a rainy day, and you'll have money to buy an umbrella. Since 2020, we have been denying, foregoing, and masking, and isolating, and socially shrinking because we understood the bargain. When the vaccine comes and the herd immunity kicks in, life will be life again. We got mad at mayors and governors who appeared to jump the gun on reopening because they valued commerce over public health. We dreaded restoring schools until we realized that juveniles may spread a tongue of disease, but not to each other. We cringed at watching another press conference from Governor Cuomo because he's Governor Cuomo, and we waited. So, no, we're getting our shots, we're doing our best. Where's the reward? 2 weeks after the second shot, we're 90-something% protected against the Wuhanian flu. We're more likely to get hepatitis from a hobo than COVID from a coworker. And yet, the Center for Disease Control says, keep wearing your mask, don't get on a plane unless you have to, stay 6 feet away from your neighbor, don't lick a postage stamp unless you know where it's been. Basically, the same rules we've been tolerating since Alex Trebek was still hosting Jeopardy. So, what was the point of the shots? Why put ourselves, or more importantly, myself, through the inconvenience, the uncertainty, the soreness of receiving a subcutaneous Fauci ouchie, if the result is merely more of the same? Imagine going on a date with a hot girl at her place. Now, Reuben, she says, did you remember to bring a condom? I sure did. Did you put it on? Oh, yes. Great. Now stay in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. What the hell? Why am I shooting some profit-driven pharmaceutical company's untested RNA into my bloodstream if I still must approach the world through solitary confinement? Why do I have to walk in a bank still looking like a bank robber? Why is it after boosting all my antibodies, all I hear about is COVID variants that can kick sand in my antibodies' face? You know, the Haredi community has taken a hatload of heat for their response to the pandemic. They obey their own rules, they're careless with protocols, they hold massive weddings barely 6 inches apart, let alone 6 feet. And the media has taken significant pleasure in reporting that the spread of COVID has been rampant among the Orthodox. Makes sense. Funny, but they haven't been reporting, among all the black hatters testing positive, how many dropped dead? Apart from a couple of decrepit rabbis, how many have kicked the Amel? How many on ventilators or in hospitals versus how many had 2 days of a bad headache and a sleepy streak? Heck, I get that just taking a poop. I'm not saying that Haredi should be proud of their insular arrogance, but maybe the rest of us have overreacted more than they underreacted. Hashem, if you're listening, how about a break? How's about acknowledging those of us who've done everything right and rewarding us? It's time to give us the ice cream. Non-dairy. We don't want to be too greedy. This has been a Rabbinical Reflection for Rabbi Sol Solomon, Temple Sons of Bitches, in Great Neck, New York.
Well, the opinions expressed by Rabbi Sol Solomon are those of Rabbi Sol Solomon and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this program or its host or anyone connected to it, although I gotta say 90-something% of the time I'm kind of with the rabbi. Anyway, I'm not the rabbi, I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and you are watching the Dave's Gone By, Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. So we're very, very, very thrilled, as we always are, when we have such delightful and fun and wonderful guests in the Daverhood, such as Stacy Widelitz that we had in the just with us moments ago when he was talking with Rabbi Sol and then playing the Today Yesterday game. Remember to go to stacywidelitz.com to see his photographs and to learn much, much more about his music and his career. Plus, we're thankful to our friends of the Daverhood, Leslie Hoban Blake, and you can see her on the video cast Critics Circle with our mutual friend Charlie Gross, and of course read David Sheward in theaterlife.com and culturalweekly.com. But these are only a couple of the folks who've been on this show over the years. We've had a lot, and we like to keep tabs on them and let you know what they're up to in our segment that is called Friends of the Daverhood. Little music under there. So, for example, these are what some of our friends are currently doing. Sidney Myers. Oh my God, Sidney Myers. He is the booking coordinator, and he helps run the downtown, or excuse me, not the down. He helps run the Midtown Cabaret Club. Don't Tell Mama. Been around for years and years. It's a staple of Restaurant Row, and really one of the great places that cabaret people can play in New York. It's been closed and closed and closed, and not for much longer. It's reopening for indoor performances. So yeah, check out Don't Tell Mama on West 46th Street, and congrats to Sidney Myers on that. I'll bet he'll be also performing there too as part of their reopening. Want to let you know that now through April 22nd, Lonnie Price, our friend of the Daverhood, is directing. We mentioned, or I didn't get a chance to mention this earlier, but we watched the John Cullum solo show called An Accidental Star that is available on Broadway. I think it's from Irish Rep, and they're showing it on Broadway HD or Broadway. Well, go find it. It's John Cullum. You know him, of course, from the from Shenandoah and On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, and the TV show Northern Exposure, which basically made him a household name. Well, he's an old guy. He's in his 80s, and he is doing a solo show about his life and career. It's really worth seeing. It's called An Accidental Star, and it is directed by our friend of the Daverhood, Lonnie Price. Speaking of friends of the Daverhood, Jason Gra, one of the rare actor people who's been on the show more than once. Well, Jason Gra is doing his tribute to the late, great Jerry Herman in his it's not a long running show, he does it all over the place and has for years, called Perfect Harmony. Get it? Jerry Herman, Perfect Harmony, for San Francisco's 42nd Street Moon, but it's virtual. You can see it from anywhere between April 10th, which is today, and May 2nd. Just go to 42ndstreetmoon.org, 42, the number, NDST Moon.org. Starting tomorrow and then running through Monday, Edward Einhorn's play Cabaret in Captivity is being done outdoors up at 144th Street. For more information, go to Untitled Theater, and that's theater with an ER, untitledtheater.com. Want to let you know that on Monday, Robert Cuccioli is taking part in a reading of Milton's Paradise Lost for the Red Bull Theater Company, redbulltheater.com, to watch the virtual reading of that. Also, on Monday, on a live stream via Stellar's really getting into the whole ticket biz, there is I guess in the post-vagina monologues world, there have been the penis dialogues. Now we have something called period piece, and it's all monologues about menstruation. Taking part, and I guess it would be well read, Julie Holston, our friend of the Daverhood, and a whole bunch of other actors and actresses in period piece. I think it's mostly actresses, about their experiences with, I hope they don't have to pad that show out. Have you seen Period Piece?
No.
Oh, it's really absorbing. All right, don't tamp on my mood. Anywho, moving forward, thank God, Tova Feldshuh has her new memoir out, and she's also done the audiobook on it. It's called Lilyville, tells of her relationship with her strong-willed mother. It's available from Hachette Books as a hard copy, as an ebook, and also as an audiobook from Tova Feldshuh. And letting you know that on the 16th, later in the week, Judy Collins is a recording of a town hall concert that she did that recreated and paid honor to her first big New York concert in, I guess it was in Town Hall back in 1964. So she's doing a lot of the same songs, but she's doing it 50 years later. So it's Judy Collins, and that is happening on the 16th. Want to remind you that Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano are still doing songs from the Great American Songbook on their YouTube channel. Go to Comstock, Comstock, to look for that on YouTube. Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of the New York Nightlife website stagebuddy.com, which is going to have more and more to write about now. And then Dr. Demento. You can hear his old Dr. Demento shows from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, all the way up to the brand new ones he makes each week at drdemento.com. He just turned 80 years old and going strong. And letting you know that you can watch a daily Facebook show from Ellie, King of Broadway. If you've never seen it, well, it's something to see. Ellie, King of Broadway on Facebook. Look for it. And finally, of course, before finally, our friend of the Daverhood, Eva Heinemann. She has her show. I was on one of the recent episodes. It's called High Drama, where they talk about and review the theater that they've been seeing, whether it's digitally or now it'll be more in-person stuff. And it's happening today at 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time. You can watch it streaming live on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, MNN.org. Or if you're in Manhattan, you can also see it on public access cable TV. But it's Eva Heinemann, big shout out to her. And now, finally, Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, oh, the fun we have had on Dave's Gone By. I mean, we did Greeley Crimes Old Times, we did our Inside Broadway segment, we talked with Stacy Widelitz, we had our Widelitz,
What a good interview. He really did well on the quiz.
Yeah, and our Today Yesterday quiz with him and with Leslie and with David. I mean, just such great stuff. And Rabbi Sol giving us his Rabbinical Reflection too. By the way, for more about Rabbi Sol, go to his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. But two things. First of all, we're going to get to our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. That is both a promise and a threat. But I want to let you know what's going to be coming up on further episodes of Dave's Gone By, because we're getting together a list of some pretty amazing guests in the weeks ahead. So I want to let you know that next, we're going to stay in a music theme for next Saturday's show. We have Frank London, who is a specialist in Jewish and klezmer music. We've had some klezmer people on the show, including Bell Pasternak way back when, and who else? We had Vince Giordano, who does that. Yeah.
He was in Yiddish theater.
Oh, well, we have a couple of Yiddish theater people, and we've had,
Yiddish theater.
I forget the one, we've had so many guests that I'm trying to but we have another one, Frank London, joining us next Saturday in the Daverhood. And then on April 24th, go figure. I didn't think this would work out, but it looks like it's going to. Veteran actress, do you remember the Norman Lear TV show Mary Hartman? And remember some of those early Woody Allen films? Well, she was married to Woody Allen for a few years. We're talking about Louise Lasser, who is still occasionally acting and teaching acting, and she's going to be taking part in a virtual reading of a show. She's involved in that same theater company that Bob Dishy and Judy Graubart are involved in, and they were on a couple of weeks ago. So Louise Lasser, my gosh, going to be in the Daverhood in the middle of April. And then May 1st, we have Christian Knoll. She really completes, in some ways, not the trifecta, but the quadrifecta. If everybody remembers when the Broadway musical Jekyll and Hyde came to Broadway, God, a good 20 years ago, the original version. So Robert Cuccioli was in it. I'm forgetting, shame on me. I'm forgetting her name. Linda Eder. Linda Eder was in it.
Yes.
And Christian Knoll was in it, and Frank Wildhorn wrote it. He wrote the songs. Well, we've had 3 of those 4 people on the show. Now we'll get the 4th. Christian Knoll, she's doing a lot of cabaret, doing some theater too. We will be talking to her in early May. And then a little bit later than that, we will have Richie Goldklang on from the 1960s band, the Third Bardo. And then in the middle of May, we plan these things out as best we can. Kimberly Faye Greenberg, who's had a show that she's been doing for a bunch of years now. You know how we had Jessica Schur on a few weeks back, who's been doing this Betty Davis, Ink for Sissies, and impersonating Betty Davis and doing that show. Well, Kimberly Faye Greenberg has been doing something similar for Fanny Bryce. So we'll be talking to her about that. So boy, oh boy, what a crop of guests we have coming up for you on Dave's Gone By. But before all that, and before we leave today, we can't go without giving you 5 lines of horror, ladies and gentlemen, in what we call our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, where this week we will be going to Superior, Colorado.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain.
Yes, to Colorado we go because it's such a wonderful place, and living there for all this time, I just got it into my head to write a poem about every single place in Colorado that I could come across, let alone, not only seeing it in person, but just going to a map or going to a list of all these towns and trying my very, very best and usually my worst to write something horrible, disgusting, sick, sexist, you name it, racist, in verse form, the way limericks are supposed to be. And this week, we go to Superior, Colorado. It's a pretty big place. It's got 12,000 people in it. It's in Boulder County in north central Colorado, just about 20 miles northwest of Denver. Until 1945, it was a major mining town, and it was called, this is true, they called it Superior, Colorado, because it was known for its superior coal. Go figure. Then after the mining died down, there was more of a ranching and farming community. Now it's just another place in Colorado to visit for its trails and its parks and its green space and a place to live. Superior indeed, Colorado. And so I've written an extremely inferior poem about it. And this is, it's not a happy poem, but you can leave the kids in the room. It's not that bad. It's still bad. It's not that bad. Ladies and gentlemen, for Superior, Colorado, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. I once knew a girl in Superior whose outlook could not have been drearier. I hooked her on meth, and now she's near death, but damned if she isn't much cheerier. Please send your comments and complaints to davesgoneby at AOL.com. davesgoneby at AOL.com. We still have an old-fashioned email address. You can also drop me messages at any time. Write directly to me if you're a Facebook person, a Facebook friend, send me a message, or post under the show all week long, anytime you want to, at this Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. Please remember, we also have a Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave and the number 2. And what else? I have an Instagram, but I still can't figure out how to use it without a phone, and I don't want to deal. Eventually we will. What else do I need to tell you? Remind you one more time. All our archives are at davesgoneby.com. They're free. You can either download or stream them, but we make them readily available. From the sketches we've done, the comedy bits, the Today Yesterday quiz, entire episodes, davesgoneby.com. Plus, we put our archives at castbox.fm, archive.org, and on YouTube. And feel free, if you happen to have Cablevision Smoke signal. Yeah, that's right. We do smoke signals, and we do, What else? Morse code. The Morse code. Dave's gone by. Hold it. Beautato, our beautiful potato, wants to try and do a little bit of Morse code to wish everybody a very happy week. Let's see if we can do it. He got it perfect.
Good.
He did fantastically. Well done. Again, this is a potato that's probably best looked at and admired rather than heard. So, what do you mean? I have herd immunity. Kind of proving my point there. Anyway.
I just sent you a cartoon from Facebook about potatoes wearing masks.
Oh boy. Well, we do have this potato. He's wearing his mask in completely the wrong way, but that would be more appropriate. Hi, potato. How you doing? I'm good. A little kind of hungry for some ketchup right now. I know, potato. What do you think? What do you think of beautato, our perfect, beautiful potato? Not really my type. Not really your type. My goodness. So what would you say is your type potato? Laney Kazan. Laney Kazan potato. As, you're going to have to fight for her with Rabbi Sol because he's her, he's her.
Spirit animal.
Oh, yes. I don't even know where I'm going with this. After 3.5 hours, I'm just so punchy doing this show. There are no jokes left. There's nothing left. There's just me, my lips moving. But I hope to have a moving and fun and frolicsome episode next Saturday. It will be April 17th, 2021. We'll be here for the 794th episode of the program.
Wow.
Featuring Frank London, the composer, the musician, the klezmer guy. Shall we save for next time? We'll save that. Yeah. We've already done enough. Yeah, this is his moment. Potato, you want to take us out with the "and gone by" part of the show? We'll play the outro music that we do love, that we've been playing for years and years here. It's "There Goes the Daverhood" by Dave J. Oh, whoops.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by,
And bygone. No. I'm sorry. It's and gone by.